Hey everyone, you're here with Mark Batwell on Perfect Gardens TV. So we're trying to do this Sunday bi-weekly thing where we get on with the members and just kind of discuss the problems of what's going on, as well as just bringing up things that are happening on this bi-weekly basis in between just going live every 2 weeks. So I also do want to introduce you guys and make you guys aware that we have a couple three moderators and some future content creators are coming on. Mike from Canadian Bacon, Dave, and also Aaron. And I know Aaron's going to step in at some point, but just look forward to seeing content from them as well in the near future. We'll also be coming out with some shorts, bringing on live interviews, and also just doing the basic one-off educational things as well. So look forward to all of it. And yeah, so let's go ahead and go live. So the first guy, so also guys, if you can just put your hands up as we go through this process for questions and so on. But let's go ahead and start with the first guy that has a question or a problem. Aaron, I mean Adam, anyone on? We're still getting used to this whole platform, so bear with us a little bit.
Can you hear?
Yes, sir. Adam, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Hope everybody else here is doing well. I may not be as talkative on this meeting just because I have a wisdom tooth decided to come up, so it's kind of aching a bit. So I can't really talk as much as I'd like just because it's kind of swollen right now. I'm just kind of gonna listen, but right now I'm not. I don't have any questions. I'm just gonna observe today.
Okay, not a problem. And sometimes these conversations are going to go for an hour, 3 hours, so we never know. All right, so I'm going to bring on a few more people. Next, guys, Rob, do you got anything going on? I know, Rob, we've been talking about basically water a little bit, and he's been getting into microbiology. Do you have anything that you might want to share a little bit later on, or things that are on top of your head, Rob?
I mean, I've just been studying like a lot of, been getting more into the soil diversity. You had turned me on actually to Elaine Ingham, and man, what a rabbit hole that was. It just kind of started to become blown away how she's created soils where, I mean, they don't even need to put nutrients in the soil. It's pretty much just water and go, and just by microbiology feeding everything, which I thought was interesting. But that's probably the most interesting thing that I've started to get into recent.
All right, so maybe we're going to go through everyone else, kind of ask one at a time, but I definitely would love to try and dive into some of the things you've been learning, even if it's not completed thought, just, regurgitating some of the things you've been learning. I'd love to dive into that. Sure. So Elaine Ingram with no fertilizer and using all microbiology to grow your plants.
Yeah, just by
keep going.
Yeah, no, just by increasing the bacteria and the fungal availability, so that the nematodes and the microarthropods can kind of break all these things down and release nutrients into the soil and cycle everything. I mean, honestly, I was unaware of some of the levels and how she's done things where even the amount of moisture that they're putting in the soil is next to nothing, and the crops are growing awesome.
Okay, really. That's cool. All right, we're going to get into that. How about any other topics or questions, problems going on this week?
No, unfortunately, I'm one of the few people. I don't have any kind of growth happening right now. I'm just trying to learn and increase my knowledge and all this. So kind of watching everybody else, it's kind of like living vicariously through them until Jersey finally lets plants happen in the house.
ITZ, Time, Hayes, Sammy, Alex. Do you guys have any problems, anything going on, even people problems? We don't just have to stick with growing. A lot of times people growing problems also deal with the people that are circulated around the growing. So there's never, opening it up to just beyond that and finding success. So ITZ, do you got anything?
No, not particularly. I'm kind of a new grower here too, so I'm just getting to know everyone here and figuring out what y'all do. I'm actually a hemp grower out in Kansas, so I do that on the legal side of everything. So just seeing how I can broaden that industry a little bit better.
How big's your crop?
Well, I got 3 acres that I'm allowed to grow on right now, but next year I'll be transferring over to about 10 acres.
Okay, so I would love to talk about hemp, talk about the different types of hemp that are growing. I'd love to also share some information with you, because in 2018, when we were facing the hemp industry, Nike industry actually couldn't even think about purchasing fiber hemp because they still had a few years left on the cotton contracts. So it created a huge issue with where hemp growers really couldn't even get into fiber or biodiesel or seed or any of these other industries that hemp was available, because of all these future contracts being basically kind of purchased to farmers are like, listen, you grow this cotton this year, I'm gonna guarantee you this price. But what it ends up doing is it doesn't create a level of diversity that where other opportunities or other materials can come on the marketplace. So I'd love to talk about that more with you.
Yeah, definitely. And also, like Kansas, like the only thing it allows us to go into is like a lot of the synthetics, like Delta 8, Delta 10, and those centuries of whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like, I don't know if I'd be growing 4 fibers in the first place.
100%, but I definitely want to seed your mind, right? Because 95% of this industry is in fibers. 65,000 separate products can be created through with hemp, but a small we're getting so distracted with the CBD side, and right now with the CBD side too. And I talk to you guys about this all the time, that 800,000 pound hemp deal we did in 2018, right? Where it's still on record the largest hemp deal that's ever been put together in the United States. And that at that time, each pound went out for $29.75. Right now, though, at times, I mean, how flooded is the market? How much do you have to sell biomass to be competitive right now?
I mean, like you need it in tons because $9
to $15 a pound on biomass per pound.
Yeah, usually 15.
Usually
it's
15.
not too bad in Kansas because we're pretty desperate.
Absolutely. All right, so definitely want to throw that one on there. Full Send Farm. Thank you, ITZ, for opening up and talking a little about that.
Definitely, thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna get into this. This is one of my favorite topics. Fun Send Farm, or Alex or Hayes, Sammy. Anything going on with you guys?
Hey, what's happening, Mark?
Hey, Alex, how's everything going, brother?
Oh, pretty good. So I think one of the issues that I'm running into, so I have a partner that I grow with, and so I'm not able to be there every day. And we're growing in indoor and 10 to 15 gallon pots and flower. And I think one of the issues is he's not giving it a thorough watering. He's only just getting that top layer in. So I feel like every time I go over there, I have to soak it all the way through. So kind of wondered, is there any way I can convey to him to try and, instead of just getting that top, how do I get him to feed that whole sucker? Like, I'm just kind of in limbo on this one.
Absolutely. This one I think is really interesting too, right? People problems, creating a systematic approach so that you get a consistent result for your marketplace, and where you're like, last time, it was the best, and this time, you only half your inventory goes out because there's an inconsistency. I think potentially developing a watering system like a drip irrigation might behoove you, because I have seen a lot of your pictures come through on the Telegram, and it doesn't seem like your operation grow room changes much. It's very consistent. You're like, you're extremely on top of it. So maybe considering a drip irrigation, and we'll get into that as well, how to systematize and create consistency in your grow room. I think that's going to be really good as well. Alex, thank you so much for bringing that up. We're going to dive into that one.
So real quick, I'd like to add in.
Sure.
So when problems arise, so when I start to see a problem, could that problem be that he's only getting that top half water and we're not getting that whole thing through? So could problems arise from that, and then I'm trying to fix those issues when really it's just a watering issue.
Absolutely. We're going back to it, is creating that consistency in your grow room, right? So that you can actually pinpoint what where the problem's coming from. You know, is it a dryback? Is it pH? Or do you might have to consider thinking, can you find, is he a partner or an employee?
He's a partner, and
okay,
he's
so
fairly new. So yeah, it's like trying to explain to people watering is very difficult. Like, it's either one extreme or the other, is what I'm finding. It's hard to find that happy medium. Maybe it's just me, but that's what I'm kind of dealing with.
Definitely. It's going back to creating a drip irrigation system, or because he's a partner, you're put in a unique position where you can't fire a partner. But what you're going to have to do is hire an employee to remove the incompetence from the partner. And it happens. There's some partners are, I'm not saying incompetence. Incompetence is not a bad word. Ignorance is not a bad word. It's just owning up. Hey, I'm not sure. I don't know, and it's just not knowing. Ignorance is not knowing. So
I just chalk it up to more as him trying to do so much research himself. I'm trying to tell him what to do, but then he's trying to do what he's learned. It's there's just too much information out there. You could be looking at somebody growing in cocoa as opposed to somebody growing in soil. If you kind of get those things mixed in together, you could totally screw yourself.
100%. 100%. It is, and going back to it, you're in a unique position. You're dealing with a partner where emotions are very sensitive. You can't just tell someone, hey, you're wrong, versus telling an employee, listen, this is the way I want you to do it, or you're fired. And yeah, I'm definitely going to want the input of Mike and a number of the other guys, because it's important dealing with people. It's like, for me, I create an SOP, and if the SOP isn't followed, then I review the SOP with an employee or a partner. If I deal with a partner, is he controlling interests, or am I controlling interests? If I'm controlling this interest, then I'm responsible for the liability of the partnership, the company that was pre-established. So at that point, I have to create a level of dominance or authority in the decision making, and kind of say what is, and just make it very clear. Like, listen, you are 25% partner. I am 75% partner. I am going to lose 75% of my money. You're going to lose 25% of your money. I want this to happen like this. What do we have to do to get there? Yeah, and you're a partner, so no matter what, we have to work together. Do we hire an employee so we don't have an issue between us, so we can move forward? And also managing how big the problem is. Like, is the inconsistency creating $100 mistake, or is it creating a $10,000 mistake? Either one of those, if it's $100 mistake, let it go. You know what I mean? It's thank God you don't have to be there every day, and you have a partner, but it's creating a $10,000 mistake. But let's dive into this in a second, because I want to open it up to the rest of the guys and get some more feedback. Mike, David, this is kind of opening up to a conversation. So why don't you guys open up a little bit, and we bring a few more guys in for questions, just so it opens it all up. Any other questions? Hayes, Sammy, Chris, do you guys have any other problems before we start to dive into these conversations and really bring it into a full context conversation?
Oh man, my problem at the moment with everything that's going on with the water and stuff. So, but that's pretty much it. Okay,
so do you want to explain the water problem you're having a little bit before we dive into it? I think you've kind of went through a very unique rabbit hole that was kind of interesting, and then we'll dive into it a little bit later with probably Rob or the rest of the guys.
So I know this might ruffle some people's feathers, but chloramines, some people say they have no effect at all, and then other stuff says they do. I've done an endless amount of research trying to figure out what was going on. Because like when we started with my plants, I know I was hitting you up and it looked like we were having a cow mag deficiency, and then it went to what was it? We were having a deficiency in P and K, and then the same plant started looking like, I was having a complete excess, and there was barely anything changing, and we were trying to figure it out. And I started getting the plants started having a lot of symptoms, and all of a sudden I started getting a lot of these little red dots all over the plant, which tends, from what I found out now, is kind of like one of the chloramine, because chloramines can do a lot of things to your plant. They can look like nutrient burn, they can look like excess, they can look like deficiencies, and it became a nightmare. And then trying to figure that whole thing out, trying to remove the chloramines, you have to use a chemical to break the bond, because chloramine is nothing but chlorine and ammonia bonded. But if you do that, if you break that bond, then you end up with a bunch of ammonia in your water. And then I tried to flush, and I flushed everything out, and we started fresh, and then more issues arise. And that's basically what led us down to the chloramine. But I just don't know if anybody else had experience with it, and if they found a solution for it besides buying like a specialty RO system that can remove it.
Chloramines. Thank you, brother. Anyone else? And we're going to talk about chloramines, water, how to treat the water, and then just being aware, for every action there's a reaction at times.
Also,
just real quick, I would say just real quick, they do have filters for chloramine.
Yeah, I'm actually looking into that. I think it's going to end up being. I read some stuff where they were saying numeric acid can break the bond, and it basically consumes the chloramine, makes it chloramine and the ammonia get consumed. I've been working with that. So far, my tests basically show that there's still a bunch of ammonia left over. I've tried the fishbowl cleaner, and then I'm like right now I'm trying fishbowl cleaner, which breaks the bond. And then you got to bubble off the chlorine, and then there's zolite is like a mineral that absorbs ammonia, and you can take it out. And right now I'm trying that to see if I'm going to test it tomorrow morning to see if that actually works. But
have you ever tried vitamin C there for the ammonia for the chloramines? Because I use vitamin C, and that neutralizes the ammonia bond with that the chloramines create with the chlorine. It's a neutralizer.
Yeah, I was looking at that too.
going on there.
Like, given my situation, it's a little hard to make sure you get the right dosage. So I was trying to stay with something that I couldn't overdose and then end up hurting my plants with it. But I was reading about vitamin C, and that is another option. I've never tried any of these, so I'm just working my way through them.
I also wanted to. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I was looking into it today briefly. It was nematodes. They could affect your roots. I had a crop that had some weird looking roots, like bulbous kind of roots. And I was wondering what that was, and I looked into it, and it was like a certain type of nematode that wasn't good, or it attacked the plant. And I know there's some nematodes you can inoculate your soil with. So if that'd be a good one too, if you guys knew of any good brands to add into your soil, because nematodes.
Arbico makes some good stuff. Add up Arbico, and then if you want to get some stuff online, they got Nature's Good Guys. They sell that stuff too. They've got a triple pack. It's called a triple pack. You want the triple pack. It has 3 beneficial mites in there, beneficial nematodes that will fight all the bad guys and keep your soil healthy, balanced. That's how you use Mother Nature to fight Mother Nature, right?
Yeah, exactly. I just thought that was really weird because I haven't seen roots like that before, and it was really interesting to me. So I kind of looked into it, and they were talking about nematodes. So I still got some really good tasting bud and everything, but it's kind of a weird looking root system.
No, yeah, there's all, that's the thing. There's beneficial, and there's the bad guys. There's bad nematodes and there's good nematodes, and that's where you gotta try to balance out, without putting too many of each. to over peripherate your pots or your containers. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's what I use. I've used them before. They work really good. I use them now. Recently, I also use these pot poppers, and but I prefer the Nature's Good guys over that. And then Arbico is another good one I heard was really good. I haven't tried them out yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about them.
Right. Well, I see you threw a link up, or you're showing like examples of the trio, and I remember reading that on the Telegram. But then it didn't really, it didn't really occur to me till now. Like that stuff really, that stuff matters in your grow.
Yeah, it really does. If you want to get into the living soil and the whole beneficial side of nature, to balance out your soil, because I mean, that's the benefit of living soil. You have all that stuff, and they have a symbiotic relationship with the plant. They have a relationship in the soil, and the plants, they kind of reward them with the exudates that the nectar, the sugars, and they go out and they kind of like mine for the minerals, and they break down the minerals in the soil and they bring it back and they feed it to the plants, and they have this symbiotic relationship, and it's really cool. And that's like the one thing that a lot of synthetic growers won't have, that because when they're adding all those salts and synthetics into their garden, they're just killing all the microbiology and all that life, so it ends up becoming dead. They grow big, pretty, red, juicy fruit, the first year, but the next year their crops are all gone. This is the same thing with that's the soil has life in it, and the same thing, like that's why I cover up my soil in the wintertime. A lot of people don't cover up their soil in the wintertime. What happens is the winter and the snow and the rain, they pack down the soil. They pack your soil down and they kill the life. The water, it melts and it pushes everything, all the nutrients. And if you have compost, it pushes all that stuff down, 20, 30 feet down into the earth, that, your roots will never be able to retrieve those nutrients. So if you cover it, it prevents that, and it kind of protects all that microbiology so that it lives in there and it doesn't, die, because the compaction of the snow, just the weight, how snow is really heavy, right? And they have like the avalanches and stuff.
Mhm.
Well, that compacts down on top of the soil and it takes all the oxygen out of the soil. All the oxygen disappears and it becomes just compacted like dirt, and there's no oxygen. So the life can't live in there anymore. And that's why, it's really cool, when you get into the whole microbiology of the soil, living
Well,
soil.
I did cover. I remember in the last meeting I did bring up that I covered my soil with mulch, basically leaves and stuff like that, and so try to protect it for my next season. But
It's a really good idea. If you could put down like a tarp or some plastic garbage bags. If you got black ones, those are even better, because the black will attract heat from the sun and heat up the soil bed in the wintertime when it's really cold out. So if you just put some black garbage bags down and put some bricks on top of it, or some 2x4s on top of it, just to hold the plastic down. Real simple way just to protect your soil over the winter, on top of the leaves and stuff, because they're going to break down all the leaves and stuff over the winter, and that's nutrients for them that survive, and they'll be ready and available for your plants when you plant in spring. So that's the best part about it.
Real quick, Hayes has his hand up real fast. I'd love to just get his little bit input in to this as well. And also, guys, a lot of the stuff we talk about, it might sound really basic, but the vision of this is that cannabis farmers are solving the world's ag problems. And a lot of times it's through repetition, it's through conversation, and through creating a belief structure that these things will work, so that we incorporate it into our system so that they scale up. So just understand, I know stuff might sound repetitive, but that's how we create, again, our own religious belief structure around this. So Hayes, go and jump in, please.
Sorry, I was having audio problems earlier. So the first thing to say about Arbico, their website is actually really cool, because they have a whole index on there. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. They have a whole index on there of any type of pest, or like whether that be like leaf surface pests, or like soil pests, or fungus, all types of stuff, all types of problems, like botrytis, all those. They have an entire index of how to fight it, what it is, and
What
what they
website is
offer, or
this?
like
What website is this? I'll pull it up
Arbico.
while you're.
Arbico,
Arbico.
Arbico.
Dave, can you
Right
pull it
here
up
in
real
my-
quick?
they're actually based out of my hometown. So.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Are they there
Ar-
with you there in Arizona, man? That's cool.
What was the
Yeah.
website?
Arbico, you said, or can you someone type it in on
Yes.
the thing?
Arbico, organic.
Organic?
Organics, yeah.
And then go and take over the screen, Dave, so you can share
give
with
me a
everyone. Okay, thanks, brother. I'll be quiet.
And the thing about nematodes is that there's all different kinds of nematodes. So there's bad nematodes and there's beneficial nematodes. And there's different ones that have different purposes within the soil for different things. So that's what you want to actually go to that index for and have it break it down for you so you can get the actual ones that you need. So there's ones that are specific for fungus gnats and other types of critters that are similar to that, but they could possibly not attack a certain other one. So it's just like bacteria. Like you can have beneficial bacteria and you can have bad bacteria in your soil. You can have good fungus and bad fungus in your soil. So it's just one of those. Yeah, there you go.
Familiar with the site now. Didn't
No,
ring a
I
bell.
agree
They
with,
got a
I agree
lot
with
of
you,
stuff.
Hayes. They got some really good stuff there, Hayes. I was looking at that website. It's got a lot of good stuff. I was going to try them out next.
And they show you like types of they'll show you like assassin bugs and type of
Right. I love it.
yeah. So
They got
they'll even educate you on spores. So
they
like
got
the
praying mantis sacks and everything.
like the Bavaria bassiana. Like you can use that as a foliar, and it'll host itself inside of the actual insect, and then it'll start to eat itself from the inside, and then it'll kill it.
Yeah, that's really
And then
cool.
Once it's dead, the spores will start proliferating over they'll start growing over the actual bug itself and create more spores that'll attach itself to more bugs. And
I didn't know
becomes
that.
like
That's cool.
Yeah, it's systemic, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it.
You want to do that in like a controlled area though. It can affect wasps and stuff.
Yeah, right. Sure. Definitely.
But yeah, it's just it's a little bit hard getting into those types of things because it's just like getting into different bacteria. There's all different types of nematodes.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff I was looking for my outside garden in the summertime, just adding like, the bead, the beneficial, like the praying mantis, a couple sacks, and then some ladybugs and stuff like that. And then on the indoor, I was using the nematodes, beneficial nematodes, the triple pack for my soil.
Yeah, they go deep, so that they will really educate. And that's just for any type of product. Like if you're just looking at a product, go on their website and they'll educate you further on like ingredients that are in there, and you can branch off of those ingredients and then look those up. And that's the whole part of it, is that you want to reverse engineer different products and then try to educate yourself on those, and then that's how you go. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love it. I love that path you're on.
And then when you go to their websites, they have to provide a breakdown of everything that's in there. So if it's organic.
There's some praying mantises.
Yeah, really big, really cool.
150 to 200 eggs you get.
No, is that for the praying mantises? No, there's only going to get just a couple of them.
I love praying mantis.
That's a
praying
lot.
mantis are cool.
Yeah,
they have all different types of
yeah.
They have all different types of mites and everything. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. Oh, the thing about the praying mantis, they just start eating stuff alive. Have you ever seen them? They just eat everything alive while it's alive. Just start eating it.
It's like the pirate bug.
Is that what they do? Those pirate bugs, yeah.
Bug. And yeah, they just go around. They just kill for fun. So.
And no praying mantis do not eat your spider mites, so don't get them for that.
But there's one thing is, you're going to use bugs, try to order them as fast as you can, because once it gets cold, you get a lot of die off in the cold weather. So for shipping reasons, I'm saying.
Hey, I think Mike actually brought up a really good point here. real
Actually,
fast.
Mike, the point about the cold is that the nematodes, about 90% of them that I found, you have to keep them cold. So that's actually a benefit to order them in the winter, because I've had shipments show up in the summer and they were thawed out and all of them died, and they had to send another order out and keep it colder they put ice packs surrounding them inside the box when they mail them to you. So being cold is a good thing for the nematodes.
I
For
agree.
Arbico, you have.
I agree, but what I was mentioning is like the beneficial mites or the ladybugs and that kind of thing.
Yeah, right. No, I agree with you.
Well, like I'm saying, like I was saying, with these things, you can look up information on these, and then you can see if they have these local nearby. Like there's local insectaries, so they have them for animals or for like people's reptiles and stuff. So there's all types of places where you can find these types of things.
Hey guys, is there a delay?
That's what I was
haven't really noticed one.
Okay.
Maybe.
I don't believe so. It's been pretty clear on my end here.
Yeah, me too. I agree. It's been pretty clear on my end.
I think Mike brought up a really great conversation just a second, a point about this, about knowing temperatures, when to release, information, and knowing the temperatures when the plant bugs will die off, because I think that's going to be pretty important. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of them don't die off too. A lot of them just go into hibernation and they come back. You know, just like the russet mites, the female, she'll go into hibernation. She'll burrow into like a branch or one of your branches or stems or like a plant or something, and then they hibernate and come back out 6 months later or something, a year later. You know, in the summertime, boom. Russet mite, she'll come out and start hatching a bunch of eggs. So yeah, you got to be careful with that too.
You have to have multiple modes of defense.
But if I can just add on to this, I've been spraying for 2-spotted mites, and I'm always glassing because I got everything, I think under control. But I've noticed that the mites now, since I've been spraying, have bringing up earth from the ground and bringing it under the leaves and hiding under the earth, or laying the eggs under the earth, protecting themselves with the soil, because I've been spraying so much. So those,
So they're like so they're kind of learning.
Yeah, they're learning
around it.
That's interesting. They're building up a tolerance to it.
Well, no, I guess they can't build up a tolerance, but they're building out a way to protect themselves, because it's a contact. My solution is a contact killer. So they don't.
Right. Huh.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Yep.
I'm gonna make a video on that.
Mike, you had problems with grasshoppers this year. What did you end up doing for that, or what was the conclusions of? Because those are really hard. It's one thing when we have some bugs in our soil and we can fight them with another bug, but grasshoppers can tend to be pretty brutal.
Well, it was a major problem before I met Mark, right? And then Mark threw me the golden nugget that they lay 2 inches in the ground. And I was spraying and I was lifting up the plastics, getting everything off, going plant by plant, putting the plastic on. 3 days later, there'd be baby fucking grasshoppers everywhere. I never figured it out. 2 inches.
You need some.
So what I did to get the problem fixed is that I removed 2 inches, re-amended, and put my plastic on, and that solved 99.9. I had a stray grasshopper that came in, but he didn't come out of the soil. He flew in from the.
Yeah.
I'd say, Mike, if I were you, I'd get some those praying mantis next year, 150,000 eggs, and let those guys go, because they love grasshoppers.
The reason why is because I'm reusing my soil, right? I love to keep the old roots. They're great nutrition for the plants, and they give a natural pathway for watering and everything. There's plenty of benefit of using the soil. So, and in the greenhouses, I was giving it the ultimate fucking all you can eat, all the water, everything you need to fucking put your population in. So by removing that, I removed 90% of the population, and then I muscled out the rest. Right? So that's the story about the grasshopper. Oh,
Adam, you grow outside. What pests do you mainly run into with your stuff? What do you find? Grasshoppers?
Oh
You're out,
man,
you're in Cali, right?
yeah, man. Yep, and I'm glad you asked. I find a bunch of critters, as a matter of fact, but I've been using water to brush them off and everything. But aphids, that's a big one, man. Aphids, I caught those early. Moths. Apparently, there's a moth that'll lay eggs on your plant. That'll tear up your plant. But I've seen moths, ants. Let me think. Let me think what else. There was another one. And then also too, it's just kind of I was finding out like what bugs were good and what bugs were bad. Like I find like those little mill bugs or roly polies. Apparently, those are pretty good to have around. I found ladybugs, stuff like that. But I think the worst one for me was aphids. So, because they just seem to kind of spread kind of quick. But I caught them. I caught them in time, and I just gave them a good rinsing off early in the morning with cold water. And apparently they don't like it, so I just did that until I didn't see any, and that worked well because I didn't find any aphids in my butt or anything like that, or get any aphid juice. So, but I just used water because I didn't know what else to use, and this was before I really dug deep into it. So, and I heard just cold water was just as good as anything else. So.
but Dave, if I could just add on one last thing. Next year, to be preventive, I'm going to be using the Royal Penny herb distilled in spray, and I'm going to be using that every week, every 2 weeks, depends on the reaction I get. Because that is a great generalist. It'll prevent any bug. It makes your plant unedible and unsuitable for all the other bugs. Like a hormone that it's
What product was that again? I missed that.
Yeah.
Royal Herb. It's Royal Herb. It's Penny herb. It's you get it in the health store. I bought it. I picked it up on a conversation that we had to this winter, last spring, and I ended up using it, and that would women use it for abortion. They use it for bug spray. It's pretty cheap. You buy like $14 for a pound.
And that's going to be used as a foliar or into the soil or
Spray it, light spray through the fucking plants, and it makes it.
And this is something you used before or no? You're introducing it?
Used it, but I used it on tomato plants. I used it on a few things, and to see that it works on not only our product, our crop, but on a lot of different things. It's a very good thing to use in garden too.
What is it? Do?
Makes it inaccessible to the other bugs. The plant
Right,
itself.
right. Anybody else want to put anything into IP management, organic, non-organic, outside to inside? What do you do? Anybody else?
Insect press.
Insect press is a good one.
Yeah, I'd love to also talk a little bit about how kind of like the natural pathway, and I'm on a different platform right now. My audio got all screwed up. This is Market. I don't know how I'm coming up right now, but so I had to connect to another one. But basically,
It's the same.
Okay, cool. So basically, thinking about how plants are healthy, right? Because always having a healthy plant is going to be your best option to stopping pests. But how to create healthy plants, I'm always talking about trace minerals. And then we're also talking about thinking about when do those trace minerals stop being created through a natural growing season, right? And when do the bugs start to attack your plants or begin to break them down? And I think that type of a thought process around understanding that your microbiology, and kind of like exactly what Aaron was talking about earlier, putting black plastic over. Dave's going to be coming out with. We're going to be exploring more about food and how to protect your beds during winter, especially for colder areas where this microbiology, as it goes dormant, stops from producing trace minerals, right? And so I think that's a signal to bugs to come eat them. So I think that's also important, having live microbiology producing the trace minerals. That is the signal for things to not eat them. And then the changing of the seasons that stop microbiology and make it dormant. So also kind of being aware that if you can keep the microbiology going longer, I think in your season, do that so that the plant stays healthier longer throughout until the last few days. Maybe talking about greenhouses, extending your growing season, yada yada, bringing the plants indoors in some way or under a greenhouse, or not just in the beginning of the season, but also at the end of the season if you're able to.
Yeah, I
And
brought
Dave's
a bunch
the
of my
host now.
stuff indoors.
I think screwed up. Oh, okay. So Dave, go ahead and take back over. I'm not the host. Dave, I took Gabe host over to Dave just because again my audio is all screwed up.
So if we just want to kind of start from the beginning of the show, Rob brought up about soils that support life of the plant with little or no fertilizers, and understanding the biology to get there. And I think that's really a super good point and a topic to dive into, because a lot of us that are in organic growing, we try to utilize that biology, understand that biology. And as a group, we're always sharing a lot of techniques. Aaron is always showing us a lot of different products and methods to get to that point. And Mark brings up an excellent point. And some of the studies that I've been following from John Hemp, and he's a soil rejuvenation biologist. And basically his IPM regimens are based on that, getting the soil back to proper living conditions to support the plant's natural ability to create these antifungal, anti-pathogen means. And it's exactly what Mark is talking about with the micronutrients and everything, and these chelates that are important at any time. So if anybody wants to add into how can we add biology? So there's many products. Recharge is a very popular one right now. You have Great White, which is putting specific fungi, bacteria. Is there a balance between that? Can you have too much bacteria?
Sure.
And what can we do for our groups and for people to understand that better?
Okay.
What if you use these products? That's the biggest question.
Rob, you got something?
Yeah, what Elaine Ingham, which she gets a lot into with the biology, is compost. Like compost is is almost like their foundation of everything, and not just any compost that's done at proper temperatures. So if it's thermophilic, it hits it's 130, or for the correct amount of days, or if you get a little hotter, 150, 160, to get proper microbes in that thing and not let it get too hot so that everything dies off. And basically they just from proper composting and then pulling humic acid from that and running that into the soil over and over, it does unbelievable things. I mean, a lot of that stuff is compost, and then by keeping your greens and your browns in proper ratios, you can have your compost go bacterial if it's more greens and go more fungal if it's more browns, which is, it's a slow, steady thing, but it does unbelievable stuff. And then they compost tea the soil a lot too, just to increase the microbial levels.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because those composts, that's food for the soil, and that's really what it comes down to, is having a proper organic material for the microbes, the fungi, the bacteria to feed.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really important, and those composts are going to sustain that and for proper soil and nutrients for the plant. Aaron, you have anything on this one? You're a big organic guy. What's up?
Oh yeah, well, a lot of stuff, guys. Is what I do is I like to go out and I like to go treasure hunting. So I go to a lot of forest preserves. I go to the beach. I go to different places and I scavenge organic matter from all different sources and varieties. And you don't need a lot. All you need, I mean, is a a small cup full. I mean, like a solo cup. I mean, you just fill a solo cup, go out into a forest or some woods where you see lots of trees and thick, heavy vegetation. And down at the bottom of the soil at the base of that, wherever that is, you're going to find some really good organic microbiology living there, and all this stuff, because it hasn't been touched by man. Most likely it's been years and years before anybody's even walked in some of these plots where I go. I go off the beaten path, you know what I mean? I go off the beaten path, off into, where you're not supposed to go a lot of places, in the different forest preserves and stuff. And I go down by rivers where there's good moisture, and I go where there's organic mushrooms and stuff growing underneath tree stumps, you know what I mean? And I find fungal bacteria growing in the earth, it's already there. And you go down, and when you grab a handful of it and you pick it up, and you'll see all that white mycelium growing in it, all like white, veiny, mycelium, the fungus growth, and you got some good stuff there. You just put it in a solo cup and take it home, add it to your soil, and that little bit could inoculate your whole pile. You could have a whole pile, and that, it take a couple of weeks, whatever, it's going to feed into it, but it's going to inoculate the whole pile. It's going to, it's going to magnify, it's going to multiply.
And that's a good point. And I think a lot of people are hesitant to use their soils from outside. And for some reason, like the soil that's been outside sustaining life for millions of years is now intimidating, to where cocoa and other things are overriding the most basic fundamentals of biology. And you bring up a good point. And I remember watching this documentary, and this lady was like in a forest, and she's like, with 1 tablespoon, we found over like 1,000 different species of microbes, bacteria. Like 1 tablespoon was just packed.
I think this is also what Rob was talking. Sorry to interrupt you, but just
no,
what
go
Rob
ahead.
was talking about, and I've heard this too many times, and I want to. Wherever you heard that, can you send that to me, Dave? Because I heard this once before, where they said there's more food and minerals in like a teaspoon or a 1 square inch of soil than you ever need. The issue is that they're just locked up. Let's go back over to Rob too, because this is fascinates me, where I'm always wanting to encourage people to stop using fertilizer altogether, create a healthy growing environment, and let it grow. But I'm also like, is it not possible, because when you grow in soil, it's kind of like not connected? Well, we're using soilless media. So is it even possible with growing in soil, in pots, in our grow tents, to even experience what we're discussing, right? And versus out in nature, like fungi development can take stuff from other places, far distances away. Is that the reason, versus it being this whole 1 square inch of soil thing? But Rob, please go take over. I thought that was really fascinating, guys.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I thought what was interesting with a lot of the soil stuff was just how everything got into, Elaine Ingham's big thing is all soil food web, so you're going to have, you have to have one thing. So by getting your bacteria and your fungus in the soil, that starts to bring other things to it, and that attracts nematodes, and then that attracts these other things, and these things break down and go over and over. But one of the things I was going to say with the breakdown, I apologize, having like a brain spasm. But she was saying, so as you establish this biology and these things start to work, and these soils become more loomy and they become more airy, and they're well composted and the biology's there. She said in most soil, once the biology's there is plenty of nutrients in the soil. Like you said, they're just locked up. So you need some of these predatory nematodes to actually, and some of these protozoa to eat the bacteria and to digest some of these fungi in order to release it. And then the other part of it being the exudates that are released from the plant. Was also a neat thing. She said, she described it like cookies. It releases a protein, it releases a carbohydrate and a sugar, and it releases different ones to different things in order to get a specific thing. So like equated, it's almost like getting takeout food. You want Chinese today, well, this guy wants this, so we're going to make this to create this. And over time, once the biology's there, the soil takes care of itself. They literally have pieces of land where there's minimal water and there's enough fungal development, over 50% bacteria to fungal, 50-50, and these things retain water. I got to tell you, it's some of the most fascinating stuff I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it's an excellent point too. Like you said, the soil is doing the work, and 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 I think that's why sometimes it's intimidating for people bringing that indoor atmosphere, and they always feel like they have the need to do something, to
Mhm.
feed it, to water it, and when in reality, the plant and those symbiotic relationships that are created, the plant can kill off certain colonies and try to attract other colonies to come in if it needs different nutrients at different times. Like there is a relationship that we can't see, and you have to trust it,
Mhm.
and sometimes I might start seeing a slight deficiency and I might not react for 2, 3, 4, 5 days because I'm trusting that plant in the soil and what I put in it prior and the work that I put in amending it and composting it, eventually they're going to figure it out. And nine out of 10 times, like it figures it out and those deficiencies go away. And in the meantime, if I would have kept adding stuff, it would have potentially led to, further deficiencies or lockout or toxicities, so understand, let the biology do the work and don't overdo it. You don't have to add recharge every single time. You don't have to add great white every single time. Like get some things established and see how your plant and soil are reacting and how they're doing. They're going to tell you everything.
And also, guys, just to encourage you guys, we have 16 members on the call right now. If any of you guys have any questions, any thoughts, there's no stupid questions, please post it. We are here to educate each other, learn from each other, and challenge each other. So anything, please just go to your option. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to more, if you're on your phone or your computer, and hit raise hand. And then Dave or just unmute it. And then when there's a nice little dead spot or a moment, just interject and we'll all treat each other with respect and let you guys talk. So please, encouraging you guys.
At the very least, all the new guys just come and say hi at least every week. Can't see all 16 of you.
And I think there's a good point that you mentioned, Dave, about the amounts and stuff, because you don't want to put too much fungal, too much bacteria of any one source inside your containers. It's going to be bad. You want a healthy balance, and that's important. And going along with what Rob was talking about, because he was getting into some pretty cool stuff, talking about the exudates and that whole system. In going into that, the different kinds of soils, that those different microbiology and the different bacterias and fungi, I've been learning that the different types have different effects on the plants too. So you can get different expressions from your plants in cannabis plants, not outside, as much, the nutrients inside, like your tomatoes and your green peppers and stuff like that. But as far as the cannabis plants, when we're growing those, the expressions, they can change based on what the soil has access to, what the plant has access to in the soil. And from being broke down, the different microbiology and the different exudate relationships and the symbiotic relationship it has with the good bacteria, the bad bacteria, like Rob was talking about. And yeah, it's really cool. And I think that, people need to realize it's, not to put too much in of any source and to find that healthy balance. But yeah, you got to let it work for itself, but it works if you do work it, and it takes time. And, you'll find different expressions over time when you add different stuff into your soils, and you might grow the same plant out 2 or 3 times and get different results because your soil's changing.
Absolutely.
It's something I was learning. I thought that was pretty cool. If you are doing like a living soil beds, like I'm thinking about building a 50 or 100 gallon soil bed next run, just to throw a couple plants in there and see the results. But those things last for, years. You just pretty much just chop them off at the base and then just move over a couple inches and plant your next round and see how good it really works,
Right. Hayes, you have your hand raised. What's up, brother?
Hey, is it Hayes? Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Arizona Toker, what's up?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I'm wearing some Bluetooth headphones. So yeah, it's kind of like what Aaron was saying. The main thing has to do with balance, and then the knowledge of what bacteria you have in there for specific purposes, because all bacteria is it just squirts out a little tail, and it's a little enzyme. So as it's going across and it hits something that particular enzyme breaks down, that's what happens. So that's what those bacteria are doing. So each bacteria has a specific purpose, and then what they do is they'll trade those minerals for sugars and stuff like that from the plant. But that's the main type of sugar that the bacteria want. So, and that falls into the whole molasses thing, is when you're trying to add molasses in to feed those microbes. You don't want to add too much of that in, because the sugar that they actually want is from the plant. It's not a complex carb that they like. It's a mixture of like fructose. It's like a mixture of like oligosaccharides. Sorry, I'm trying to bring it up here.
In between him looking for this, guys, anyone that's live right now with us, please, at the very end of this, we're going to do some Q&A. So if you guys do have any questions at the very end, please post it. You know, if you guys have a question now, I hate to just like throw out $1 or something so I can look for it. Just kind of, it makes it a little easier, but I am looking for questions as we go along. Go ahead, Hayes. Sorry about
that. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so it's when you're dumping in complex carbs like that, you're kind of like, it's kind of like having feeding your kid candy rather than feeding it the type of food that it actually needs. So these microbes know like the type of sugar that they actually need, and they know that it comes from that plant. So these are actually, they're pretty intelligent with what they need to do, and like with their whole biology and like what their purpose is. So that's why there's like, so a good example is like mammoth tea. They have a specific microbe that when you inoculate your plant with it has a specific microbe that can break down like rocks. You know, it'll get the phosphorus out of those rocks or any type of mineral that's near there that is like a pebble size, and it can help break that down. And it also helps.
I heard about that, Hayes. It's like a lichen fungi, and then like after it breaks it down, something else comes and breaks down that, right?
Yeah, and then it goes into like protozoa and all that, because those are
protozoas, right?
Yeah, those are mainly found in like fish emulsions or like aquaponics and stuff. Those help with like terpenes, and those help with your plant utilizing like flavonoids and all that, like its color. So it really they all have specific purposes for what they do. So it's kind of crazy. We don't really have it all figured out yet, and it's just once you start dabbling into different areas and educating yourself on different microbes and different products, you end up being able to find a different consortium that will all work together synergistically. And the whole thing is balanced, because you don't want to have things like trichoderma in there too much, because if you have too much trichoderma, it will literally overtake everything, and then it'll be the main dominant,
right?
The main dominant bacteria within the soil. So when you cut that at like low, and then you have a good consortium in there where other ones aren't overtaking each other, because they're all working with each other at that point. They're not trying to overtake the whole pie.
That's a good point.
Just to kind of also throw out something as a result, because I've been just religiously testing this stuff over years, and also this year with the growers, I'm excited to whoever gets me test is the terpene percentage. Most of the growers that are using microbiology with the trace minerals drops balance. And just again, we're going back over to what we're talking about. This stuff gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right? It's because these microbes keep eating and pooping out smaller stuff and eating and pooping out smaller stuff. And the biology keeps evolving throughout the entire grow. They're discussing about how like the plant has the ability to shut down one thing, turn on another thing. So my point to this is that as the plants are evolving, they're requiring new things. So these trace minerals are, and we don't even know how many trace minerals there actually are. It's just this study is we are so far behind on this. I just
Minerals are like what we.
encourage and challenge you guys to test your. Go ahead.
I was saying, yeah, minerals is like where it all starts at. That's where the plant is able to actually produce its energy for metabolism and all that. So if you don't have the actual minerals there, there's no actual. It's the same with humans. Like if we're low on all of our minerals, our bodies aren't going to function right. So it literally starts with that. Sorry.
And going and no, it's okay. Thank you for saying that. And just going back to it, right, is thinking about this biology. Biology comes alive and goes dormant during certain times of the year. And through these processes, certain trace minerals are produced. If you have a longer growing season, I think microbiology can probably produce more, and there will be more trace minerals available and more abundant in the environment. And I think that's why we have very unique Mediterranean climate. It isn't just because of the climate, but I think it's also because of the microbiology, if left undisturbed, can thoroughly flourish, which creates very year-round crops, which allows you crop after crop after crop after crop, is what I've experienced in my life in Monterey County. Just healthy growing environments, less microbiology being shut down, more trace minerals available in the soil because hopefully being undisturbed, which allows for continuous crop rotation. So anyways, and then also terpene counts. I challenge anyone, test the terpenes. You will always get above 2. I don't want to say always, but most of the time above 2 and close to 3 or past 3% on the plant, what I'm saying, when using a healthy array of trace minerals, whether it's Drops of Balance or another brand in the industry. If you stick with that, just the basic NPK thought process, you will most likely find they're using more pesticides, more fungicides, more insecticides, and your terpene counts are probably going to be much lower overall.
Say, Hayes, while we're talking to you about this, I wanted to ask you about bring back I think it was Adams or Andrew's question about the insect frass, and you're probably the best person that I know with the best knowledge behind how that works to defend the plant. I mean, you gave the best explanation for it last time. Would you mind repeating it for the rest of the guys? Why insect frass is such a good additive? How it interacts with the plant to cause the trichomes to develop?
All this is just stuff that I'm just looking up and just finding by digging. They produce it's the best what's it called? The best source for insect frass that you would probably want to use is black soldier fly frass, and it just has a more concentration of chitinase in their poop and also in their exoskeleton, but it's just condensed down more, kind of like a wet coffee ground. But what it does is the chitinase is released into the soil, and then it tricks the plant into thinking that there's a high infestation of like bugs, like a really high infestation. So you kind of have to start it early, and then you want to turn it into like a tea and then water it in. So that way it's like soaked in, and then it causes a reactionary response from the plant where it sends messages down to the roots to start producing an acid that goes out into the soil. And whenever there's a crawler nearby that goes by that acid, it'll cover it kind of like an oil, and then it will start making the bug feel like it's like their body is like gelatin, and then they won't like that, and then they can still kind of fly a little bit, but they'll mainly not want to go into that environment just because like it's just
that'll kill the insect gnats too, right? The gnats, the larvae. Aren't those?
Yeah, it'll do that as well too. Yeah.
I mean, really,
oils.
Well,
I mean,
aren't those
it does a whole. It causes a whole bunch of reactions from the plant. So what it does is it causes it.
Are those
What?
aren't those terpenes in the roots that it's releasing, the oils that you were talking about? Aren't those like terpenes?
Well, the plants have a lot of stuff in them. They have a lot of people don't know there's actual bacteria within the leaves. So what they do is that they have acids as well. So it's like an acidic oil almost, like in a sense. I don't know.
Okay.
But what they do is they exude off of the actual roots itself, and then, or I think it's like on the root. So then when they come by the root itself, it like coats it. It's kind of like if you were to like spray it, and it coats it, and then they don't like it.
That makes
But
sense.
it causes all different types of reactionary responses within the plant. And it creates I'm trying to think. I'm blanking on the word right now. It's like speaking in front of a class.
It's cool, man. Don't worry about it. I get it.
PTSD.
Hey, sorry,
Johnny.
I put you on the spot, man. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. My bad.
That's cool. But what it kicks up their metabolism and their immune system. So they start producing more sugars themselves through generating through when they pull the sun rays in and they produce the sugars, and then they have that flow throughout the plant. They actually produce more. So it's pretty cool.
Hey, Johnny, you have a question? Want to unmute?
Yep. Actually, it worked out good. I was going to ask what the insect frass, how that helped out for IPA, and just it worked out fine. I mean, perfect. That I was getting ready to ask how that works. The insect frass.
Good deal.
Yeah, it just came out. I was like, man, that's what I was going to ask. And then also, I just ordered my first bottle of Drops of Balance, and I'm excited to see how it works out.
I give you my word. I give you my word. And also I hate to tell about using this as a foliar spray application, because everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna use it as a foliar spray and not try to fix their water. Their water issue is the main issue. Anyone out there wants to just get rid of every single foliar spray out there and just use this only, 1 ml per gallon, literally every single foliar spray you've ever used, and just, if you use it, foliar spray. I don't encourage them, because I try to get people to fix their water problems first before advanced techniques like that. But yeah, I promise you'll be happy. Also, Dave, you could lower the hands on your side as a host when that happens, and then just keep encouraging you to keep pushing through as hands go up, to keep lowering them back down, so we know different people coming
On it. So I don't know if we want to go into the next subject that It's Time brought up about hemp growing, different types, understanding the market. And I was listening to something today about the hemp industry, that one of the most problematic things is reliable seed sourcing, which has been kind of the topic in the group. We released some shorts about it. We've been talking about it, but in the hemp industry, they have to get that tested, and it has to be, from my understanding, under 0.03% THC. So you can have a whole crop, and if it goes past that, you can be screwed. Anybody have any input on that, or want to further that discussion? Mark, you want to grab into that?
Yes.
Does anybody grow hemp? Does anybody grow hemp? Who grows hemp?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to throw something in there when you get a chance.
No, Mike, you take over. Please go ahead.
Okay. Listen, guys, I'm walking outside, I'm doing this, and this summer I had some land tests. My friend Abe asked me for some soil tests, and we came to the conclusion that I have 0 natural mycorrhizin in all the hay fields that I wanted to use, because I used synthetic fertilizers over the years. So I was thinking of planting hemp and getting milling it back into the ground, for one, to create natural pathways, and the hemp will suck up and recreate all the mycorrhizin back in my field. So the next year I can plant marijuana there. So.
Hey guys, remember also to mute your phones if you are live, just because we do get a little back chatter. So Dave, also, if you can also mute people as well on your side. Like I'll give you an example, Rob, no offense, Rob, not calling you out, just Rob. You can mute Rob or anyone else that's not talking. Mike, please continue. Just because we'll be able to hear you a little better.
Okay, yeah. So basically, that's the idea I had of using hemp. I've never grown it before. I have zero experience, but it's a better solution to return the natural mycorrhizin back to my field, and plus it's going to be basically free. Not counting the fuel for the diesel for the tractor and the time that I'm going to put in preparing. But it'll be a good investment in the soil and a natural way to repair some of the damage I've done to this land.
Does you're up in Canada? Does Canada have similar regulations like the U.S. here, where we have to be under 0.03% THC, or what's the guidelines for it to pass, or is there any that you know of?
There is none. It's something that's really starting up here in Canada, and you can just buy your seeds, and it's pretty friendly marijuana, so they're not really worried about hemp at all anymore. Maybe it gets more complicated when you want to do the finished product or the end product with hemp. But for me to grow it in my field, I can grow as much as I want, and nobody's going to say anything.
Yeah, because see, down here in the U.S., we utilize it big time for, like Mark was stating earlier, for CBD products. Just one little grain of sand that this product could be used for. So if in states that are not legal on the medical side, they might have a legalization of CBD products, and that's why we have those regulations for the percentage. And I've heard many stories of farmers beginning to start those crops and stuff like that. They get their seeds, they grow their fields, they send it out, and it comes in at like 7, 10, 12% THC, and they can't sell that crop how they originally intended to. So kind of down here, Mark, can you explain more of that, or
yes,
please?
Yes, 100%. But also, Adam and Prince, do you guys want to come on, talk a little bit about that before I dive into any of this stuff? Maybe because I want you guys to share your knowledge as well, not just get it from myself right now.
I was just gonna add that finding a good seed supplier is one thing. Also, to be aware of is when buying them, if you're in your state, knowing if it's legal to receive them or not, or sending them to anybody, because they may not. If you send it to like an illegal state, you won't get in trouble, but the Fed or whoever, they may nab them just because it's not allowed there in that area. So you might just be careful. And that's always a buyer beware, kind of know the laws in your local area.
Absolutely. Price, do you have something?
Price, sorry.
Oh yeah, it wasn't about CBD. It was more about the Drops Bounce foliar spray, but I can ask that later. I would say though, I've done some reading on CBD strains, and there's a lot of different, suppliers, air quotes. I did find Shanti Baba seeds. I think they have a CBD operation in Colorado now. And so Shanti Baba's the guy that made a lot of old school strains, White Rhino, just a lot of Cannabis Cup winners way back in the day. I guess he's been doing CBD for years, way over in wherever he's at. I think he's in the European, in Europe or European countries, that block. But they do have Colorado satellite office that seems to be pretty good source. And then, adding to the conversation, that seems to be a good source. And then also I've heard cross pollination is a big issue when you're outdoors. If there's an outdoor cannabis crop down the way with high THC, that might just come in. So I've heard in California, they're doing like wet walls in the greenhouses to sort of avoid that, because I don't know if anybody knows how far the pollen can travel. I've heard hundreds of miles. I've heard thousands of miles, but I think that's a big issue if you only want CBD.
Excellent point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, your neighbor could totally screw you over.
And pollen can float as far as the wind blows.
Right.
That's pretty far.
Yeah, pretty far. Someone else can measure that shit.
As long as it doesn't get wet, I guess. I mean, if
I
it
mean-
goes that far without getting wet, as soon as it gets wet, it's useless. So it doesn't, it's pretty much how they kill it. They spray their plants down and stuff and spray other plants down so the water does, if it lands, it doesn't affect it.
Yeah. Bacon, you have something, buddy?
Would a marijuana field cross pollinate a hemp field?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he was talking about, I think.
And also, guys, I think we just discovered a very unique technique that could potentially save a lot of crops out there in a very unique time period. I mean, if you think about it, pollen sacs open up. You have a 72-hour period, right? And then after that, you have to worry about shit for a couple weeks. But in that time period, plants are normally 3 weeks into flowering. They can still have a nice foliar spray, a nice little drench without too much worry about mold. If you really think about it, if you conducted a heavy foliar spray consideration during week 3 into flowering, there's enough time for those flowers to dry out without worry about botrytis or mold. And if you're concerned about cross-pollination, it could save you in that cross-pollination and seeding thought process. I'm just throwing that out there, but I was just imagining that as, and especially if there's lots of, commercial production. Do you guys agree or disagree with that? I just imagine that right now in this moment.
I agree. I think Price had a good point about and mentioning that how they use the wet walls and stuff, but too, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah, I'd say I agree. And I know some people say you're not supposed to spray with, into flower for mold issues, but sometimes I'll spritz them, right before the lights turn off or right before they come on, just to manage the pollen, because I have, males in another tent and who knows what can track in. You actually can't see the pollen, right? They say 300,000 little pollen things in a plant, right? So I'm sure it can get tracked in. I try to manage that as best I can, just spritzing it down. And, because I don't mind seeds, but if they're unknown seeds, that's kind of a issue, right?
Mystery seeds.
Yeah, no,
they're not stabilized. They're a worst enemy. No.
Yeah. But yeah, so the CBD stuff, right? I know that is an issue, and just something
I've heard it's a very big issue. And farmers are being ruined by it because they're uneducated of their sources of their seeds and stuff, and they're planting whole crops and it fails, and they're like, what do we do with it now? And they're left with all this biomass and material, and it doesn't meet the state standards to pass it. So
I would love to make a recommendation for anyone in the seed market, anyone in the CBD market, not seed, but CBD market. Is that okay?
Of course.
Okay, guys, straight up, if you're in the fucking CBD market and you can grow 3 acres, grow 1 acre. Okay, you can harvest in between 2,000 to 4,000 pounds. Cut down your product, make 25 other products, and see if you can create a market retention, a customer retention in the market before you try to plant anything else. I'm telling you, the market is so saturated. There's so much product that can come off, and we're talking about this too. I've been talking about the collapse of this cannabis industry by 2025, and it's because you got to think about it, right? If you can harvest, if you can harvest 2,000, 4,000 pounds per acre, and I have friends that pulled closer to 5,000 acres per harvest, and I hope to have them on the channel one day to talk about that a little more, all microbiology. But you got to think about that, especially the CBD industry. They have and we're talking about biomass. I know smokable flower, they're still selling it for $100, $150 a pound, maybe lower, $70 a pound, depending upon the quality. But you got to think about it, right? If they're able to produce it and sell it at $70 smokable flower, $15 biomass, why are people paying $2,000 a pound right now? You know what I mean? You got to really think about that. And this is where I'm trying to really
quality. It's not the same. I mean, I say that because I got family in Kentucky, and That's all they got down there is CBD. That's all they legally. That's all they can grow is hemp. And I talk to them all the time about, hey, why don't you get into growing some more of that smokable hemp? They're like, man, fuck that. We'll wait until we get the real thing. And they keep buying. They keep doing the real thing because it's just not the same.
But I agree with you. But right now, everyone's becoming more tenacious to the industry. Oklahoma's opening up. You have no. I mean, I want to say you. I know you do. I didn't mean like that. But we.
No, I get it.
We as a community don't realize how many more growers are coming onto the marketplace to grow this specific plant, and not everyone wants to smoke every day, right? And not everyone wants to be in this consumables. And I'm not trying to deflate our interest. I'm just trying to. I want to shift our. When I talk about our cannabis farmers solving the world's ag problems, we're talking about. Listen, we got to get our priorities straight. You know what I mean? Like, we got to go back to growing healthy food. We got to get into biodiesel. We got to get into plastics, hemp concrete, building our infrastructure in our own country and encouraging other countries to rebuild their infrastructure with healthier products that are recyclable and opening up new industries. Okay?
Oh, I agree.
So that's why I'm really like,
I agree.
I'm just encouraging.
I really do.
I love you, bro. That's why Aaron's a content creator. If you ever see him on the channel, he's a new content creator with Mike and Dave. This is why, you know, there's lots of things we disagree on and lots of things we agree on. And this is one of the things we definitely agree on, is just improving the process. My point around the CBD thing is don't get distracted by everyone encouraging you to grow CBD oil right now. Look to where all the big money is at, okay? And this is where I'm telling you, it's in the fiber, biodiesel, and the R&D. Like, massive facilities around the world right now are major monies moving into these areas, and they're distracting you with the CBD because they want to keep the little man poor, because they don't want you to understand how much oil, 30 gallons of hemp biodiesel can be harvested per acre. 30 gallons. I mean, that might not sound like a lot, but if you're selling,
that's a lot. I used to drive trucks across country, and that's a lot. And that's awesome, man, because you know, I think, you know, along with the pharmaceutical companies keeping marijuana illegal all these years, I believe the oil companies were right there and next to them, shoulder to shoulder, saying, yeah, we don't want that shit legal either, because they can make their own oil, they can make their own gas. They won't need any of us, you know?
And think about this, guys, and not to cut off Aaron a little bit, just because if you guys understood, and on this channel, we're going to be breaking this down in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, all these systems and processes showing you guys how to become efficient and utilizing these plants with also food for long-term preservation, really bringing this back into like a situation where you're empowering yourself. But my point is, with the biodiesel, just this one thing, just understand all you have to do is de-wax it. That's it. You got biodiesel for your vehicle. Holy crap. If everyone knew that all you had to do was let it settle and the oils just separate and the waxes naturally separate based upon a temperature that's within reason, that you don't have to put a lot of energy input, and then you produce 30 gallons of biodiesel. Like, imagine this, like,
imagine how much we could make with just good old fucking dank weed, man. We could make 3,000 gallons of fucking oil.
But Mark, you know, Mark,
CBD hemp, we'll be growing some dank kush, and then we'll have like 3,000 gallons of oil.
Mark, you know, and everything you bring up from the heart is 100% true. And I think to get that industry going for the majority of, let's just say here in the US or Canada, everywhere, I know we're talking globally, we have to educate the farmers, because I don't think half the time when they get into this, then they make these conscious decisions like, okay, I'm going to take out this corn, I'm going to start planting hemp, because they look at that easy cash value, like you're saying, grab onto the CBD oil. We all see it in gas stations now, low quality shit. You know, it's everywhere. It's insane how the market is completely flooded, and maybe they're just not completely educated. And we need good consulting companies, people with mindset like yours, to step up and to help help this industry flourish to what what it is going to be eventually, hopefully for my children or my great grandchildren, whatever. But it's moving in that direction, and we can't let big corporations just take it over like they are with the medical side of it and just dominating with boof ass weed.
Yeah.
We need to learn how to teach people how to make that shit at home. We need to teach them how to make their own home oil and gas at home.
Oh, we're gonna do it. We're doing it. Johnny boy, you got a question?
I would love to be able to get into the commercial market and be able to grow it and not just for the medicine, but to, be able to make the oil myself, and make bio oil and help out the world, and just make things better. That just sounds like the perfect garden.
It does.
Well,
I agree.
Johnny, honestly, I love you guys for saying all this. You guys are totally helping out with the marketing and stuff, and I love it. But like, I no, but just thinking about it, right? Thinking about how to create every square foot of your acre profitable, right? Like, okay, well, you're going to grow some CBD oil. That's cool. And every year you only have X amount of products you could possibly make because your marketplace, let's say your market can only absorb so much. So why overgrow it, right? And then put yourself on a situation where you have to sell your stuff at a lower price to recoup your costs. Why don't you grow 10%? I'm not saying you in general, but just this is where we talk about the strategic planning of your growing. And every year we're going to go through this, like this religious process. Okay, this is the time to think about doing this, think about time to doing that, reconsider how much you're planning. And I know I talk about how many strains you should grow, but I also talk about in that video, after you learn how to deal with your first wife, you incorporate more wives, right? But it's about being that was a joke, but my point is once you learn how to grow and learn how to identify the plant deficiencies and toxicities, there's no reason why not to grow more plants. There's no reason why you're like, okay, if your market can only, and then you develop a brand. And that's what we're talking about Perfect Gardens too. Like, this is why I'm trying to like share the space with all of you guys, is because hopefully we will develop your garden. So you're like, okay, okay, I have these CBD products. Let's sell them out. Okay, we have now we have some tomatoes, and then we made some tomato paste or sauce or whatever. We have, X amount came off. This has to get sold. And and before you know it, we start to be like more of like that humic layer for our local communities, where people can start to come to us for more than just one product, because we have a reliable, trusted brand, if that makes sense. And it just takes time. It just takes time. And if you don't get caught up on all these distractions where they're saying, go on CBD oil, don't do that. If you do not do that and just be more methodical to the industry, man, you'll go so much farther. You will exist 10 years from now with a valued brand that you could sell off or passed on to your generational communities. And we take the brand, take it away from these large corporations. They started like us. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, you're right though, because we are the consumers. You're big growers, you're overall the consumers, and we kind of steer that at times. And if we let certain things happen, I've heard from so many people, about dispensary fucking shit just being not as good as it used to be, and the overall and products, and you look at the practices that are happening, and all the big chemicals that are being pushed to grow these plants. Just push the plant, add these 10 chemicals, push the plant, and then the end product tastes like complete fucking shit. So as a consumer, start, like Mark's saying, being independent, growing not just hemp, tomatoes, whatever it may be, and take that shift and as a consumer and guide it to where it needs to go. Because for how long marijuana has been illegal and prohibition all across our countries, now it's finally legal, and look at the direction it's going. I don't agree with half of it personally. I don't know about how you guys feel, but like in terms of the direction and certain corporations and things taking over, these are people that just have deep pockets that have no fucking clue about anything, about flavor, terpenes. Just they get with people that are going to say, hey, I can increase your yield by 5,000 pounds if you add all these chemicals and grow in a certain way like this. And I disagree with it.
You know what blows my mind a little bit, and is that we're prima donna to this herb, but we eat food between 2 to 4 times a day, and we don't give a shit what goes into our body. Like, shouldn't we be like, a little bit more picky to the things we digest more often than the stuff we, but whatever, we're all addicts in one way or another. Fuck it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think we got a couple of questions from Johnny and Shane had their hands up.
All right. I just finished a harvest, and I gifted a friend of mine some nice little sack. So he in turn gifted me a little sack of some dispo weed, and that, to me, it looked and smelled good, but man, there was something in it that just made me hack every single time I smoked it. And it's nothing compared to what I grew myself. And I can tell the difference between some crap that has all kinds of chemicals in it and some good organic stuff. And it does make a difference. And that's one reason why I'm sticking with the organic, because it definitely makes a difference, I think.
100%.
I agree.
100%.
I agree. Big difference.
I'm hoping eventually there's a shift in my lifetime that it's not even a thought how to grow, and we go back to organic, and we go to consciously being aware of what we're putting in our soil, and then we take pride about it, and we showcase that to our consumers, like, hey, look how we grow. These are the natural organics. We use compost, we use certain things, and highlight the benefits and showcase it. Right?
I think Shane's got a question. Dave, you want to ask?
Shane, or I see Full Send Farm. Yeah, Shane.
Yeah, that's me, Shane. You guys are talking about the way it's headed. And unfortunately, I have one hydroponics store within probably 100 miles of me. And I hate going into it, because all they're pushing is whoever come in there and gave them the best deal for the best profit that week.
I believe it.
Yeah.
That's all
I see it everywhere. It's happening everywhere. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I went in there to buy a specific light from them and told them I want this light. It wasn't in store that day for some reason, but they nonstop pushed a different brand light on me. I would be happier with it. I would like it more. I already had one of the other ones. I wanted a matching light, but
Right.
that's what I'm pushed with. I get whoever's offering them the most profit is all they care.
I agree.
And that's a good point. And I actually talked to my local guy too about certain products, organic wise, and he's like, listen, this is what sells. So once again, we're the consumer. We're going to help drive, what products are being purchased. And I look around. I mean, he's got 5, 6, 7 racks full of so many bottle nutrients that I've never even heard of. And he's like, yeah, this is all the stuff that fucking sells. And I'm like, well, where's this? Like, you got some down to earth, you have this. And he's like, yeah, down to earth is over there. Like, I look over there, it's like 2 items. Like, what are you like? Is it low? Is there a resource problem? He's like, no, that's just all I carry, just to please the 2 people that want to buy it. I'm like, my mind explodes. Like, oh, okay. Like, I want to support you, but I don't know what to do.
You want to support local business, but Amazon's the only place I can get what I need.
Sometimes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I would agree.
Guys, you guys make, just keep in mind, and I hope this is a level of encouraging you guys, because, you guys recently, I don't know if you guys recently watched the video of new members, like if you become being new members, right, where we talk about the different stages from moderators to content creators to new product development, right, to new product creators, right? I don't know have you guys seen that or not seen that yet?
I've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
This is what we're discussing. There's a huge void in the desire to want to create right now. There's a void in our marketplace of being thoughtful around around products. I know there's cheap shit out there. We're being, getting the $3 hooker is no longer fun, especially because everyone gets herpes at the end of the day, right? We want to get a nice, wholesome wife that we can make love to night after night, and we create a long-term family. And I know I always go back to sexual jokes, but it's because my market's 93% men. Sorry, but my point to this is that whole thing is a vision about recreating our marketplace, right? Where us as growers are being thoughtful around how these products are created, because hopefully we want to take on the responsibility to create these products, and then figuring out a way to redistribute, get that information back out to the marketplace so that we can kind of create, I don't want to say create a better marketing plan around these corporations. It's just we don't allow their marketing gimmicks to interest us anymore. We become a grounded human being overall. We create unique products, and then we redistribute them back out to a marketplace, because COVID, I don't want to say that word, sorry. This thing we've been dealing with the last few years has changed everything. It's changed the whole game, right? Why do we even have distributors anymore, right? Like, why can't each of our households be their own distributor, right? Where we create our own products, and then we, through healthy brands or whatever, we redistribute it out to our marketplace. And we even collapse these, like Sunlight and Hydro Farm. Why do they even still exist? Because like you're saying, why do the retail shops even exist anymore? Because they have products that are there that were, how long have they been there? How long have they been sitting on the shelf? Are they still, are the salts settling out of their products? Like, everything has changed, and everything's changed. And I think we have a unique opportunity to take hold of our industry and try to create a void where we can start to kind of capitalize and take more market share away from these larger corporations. Is they're also trying, I think, in some level, trying to figure out the new marketplace, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It's just, I think sometimes especially like any crop, we look at it as the ultimate yield. And if someone comes in saying this is going to yield X percentage more, instead of growing a better product, cleaner product, they're unfortunately going to be picking the higher yields every freaking time. So these products stay in the market, and we create tons of new things that we add on there, boosts and root finishes and flower finishes and all these things that, I mean, the plant's been doing it for millions of years. So I don't know. Adam, what's up, buddy? You got something?
Yeah, I wanted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I wanted to add on what you were saying earlier about going to the local hydroponics store, because I went out to one, and I was asking for some pretty basic ingredients for a tea I was making. And I was talking to the person there, and they didn't really know. I was, asking, can I get, some kelp meal or some dolomite lime? And they're like, what? So I was like, so I just kind of looked through myself, and I found some worm castings that I just used, but that was it. But everything was like bottle nutrients, which I think anytime you go that route, you have to really know, you have to be really dialed in. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm totally against it, but there's people that use it and have good success, but I don't think I'd be one of them, just because it's, I'd probably burn my plants. I think you have to be really careful with that stuff. But yeah, I agree. The local hydroponic stores, sometimes they're just there to sell shit.
Absolutely. Hayes, you got something? Hayes?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, so a lot of it today is pretty much marketing. People wanting to come up with their own little brand to just make some money. It's kind of like just people today, they have their own little personal brand, and then they try to, like, kind of like Remo. Like they're their own personality, and then they try to come up with a product, and then they end up coming out with a line. And then those can be beneficial for people depending on your situation, like where you're at, where you're growing, like your environment, all that type of stuff. All that stuff has its place. And then it also comes down to knowing your deficiencies and all that, and reading your plant effectively, and then having your environment dialed in. So all those things, they have to have the right type of everything has to be in synergy, and it has to be like really just like Adam was saying, it just needs to be all dialed in order for your plant to be able to uptake everything completely and metabolize everything for its own growth, and then just make sure that it's absorbing everything, because you can lock things out if you're mixing different companies together. You can cause different type of reactions, and then it'll affect your plant negatively. So it just comes down to that. The main thing that people need to just understand is those are the pretty much broken down ionic forms of what bacteria does. The bacteria has its it breaks down the actual elements in the soil, and then it has its nutrient it has its little nutrient hold, and it'll exchange that with the actual plant. So let's take potassium, for example. It'll squirt out an enzyme, and it'll break down that potassium, and then it'll create that ionic form of K+, which is a positive form of potassium that ends up going into the plant. And that's just what the plant reads as potassium. So that's what it comes down to. And that's what's in the actual bottle, is the absorbable form of that. And it's when people start mixing things at the wrong ratios, or in the wrong, like putting in B first and then putting in A, or like mixing up your CalMags first, or not doing your CalMags first and doing those last. It depends on all these different variables that can play in, but it's just good to know that what's in those bottles is just what is. It's pretty much the end result of what bacteria is. You just have to have the knowledge of like what you're. So it takes. I don't know. It's to each their own. So like I do organic. So I'll have like I'll start edge with all organic, and then during flower I'll put in like a booster, and then I won't touch for that, and then in the last 3 weeks I'll do like a quarter feed. Not the last 3 weeks, but like before the flush, I will do like a quarter feed, and then it'll start to fade after that. But it's with that quarter feed, I'm just adding in a small amount of nutrients that it can take up, and then after it uses that up, it still has the actual organic material inside there that it almost has like a nutrient store. So it actually, the organic side, when you have the mix in there, help with flavor, and then the flavor always pull into the bricks, and then having the right type of sugars in there that the plant absorbs. It goes back to that oligo, and that is mainly produced through healthy metabolism of the plant. So right. Everything just comes down to like what Mark was saying. The main thing that it breaks down to is the micro elements, the micronutrients, because if you have an abundance of, let's say, like phosphorus, it can cause deficiencies in iron and calcium and magnesium, and then you can start chasing those types of things, and then you're not realizing that you're having abundance of phosphorus, and then you can still be feeding phosphorus at that time, and you're just like shooting yourself in the foot at that point in time. So that falls into the soil as well too. So you can burn your plants in soil. You can lock things out in soil. So it literally comes down to understanding the breakdown times of things and how fast it takes for the bacteria to squirt out those enzymes and start breaking everything down. Sorry.
Good points, Mark.
Jesus, man, I actually kind of forgot. Shit. I was something. Oh, fuck. Come back to me in 5 minutes.
We were talking about nutrients, bottle nutrients being broken down. It's the same form type thing. He was saying maybe something like that triggered it.
No, I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. I was right there, and then shit.
Adam.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Are we going to get back to the question that I think it was the second question about the partners there?
Hey, Mike also reminded me. Thank you so much too. So let's do Mike first, but also K Panda 1010 had a question, and I'm trying to find the questions as we do it. I'm having the worst luck. All with my seeds are drying out. I don't understand. Did soil, paper towels, and they keep all drying. Anyone? Question mark. So go ahead, Mike. You do yours, and then maybe you can also talk about seeds because you probably pop seeds or any Aaron.
Just put them in the water. Just tell them, put them in a glass of water, room temperature, and put them in the dark and let them float on the top of the water. Don't push them down. They'll germinate 100% on the top of the water in a couple of days, and you can plant them from there. That way they don't dry out. They get oxygen and moisture at the same time. Just make sure you don't push them down.
I agree.
Same.
Would you use peroxide with that mix of water or no?
I mean, if you don't, I mean, you can put a drop in there if you want to. You don't have to. A lot of water. I mean, if you're using tap water, it's got chlorine and chloramines and stuff in it anyway, so you don't have to do that. It's going to be fine without it. You might want to put some seaweed or some mycorrhizae in there to get an early start on your roots inoculated with mycorrhizae or something if you want.
Exactly. I would coat the seeds exactly what Aaron said with some beneficial bacteria and fungi. Pop them right in, and also take into consideration that what does water do? Right, it expands, it contracts. Seeds are need that process to happen. Keep a consistent environment, and and because one of my growers right now, I wish he was on right now, James. All of his seeds pop within, and they're transplanted within three to 5 days. And so I like to use his grow as our recorded standard, because I don't want to say if you don't get those seeds like that, you're doing something wrong, but I do want you to understand. Like, I think it's really important to understand the first 3 days. When those seeds pop, the actual DNA genetics of that seed changes, and once that third day happens, it's something in that DNA has changed. So you got to take this into consideration on pheno hunting, getting clones from phenos. Like, those first 3 days after a seed pops is so important to making sure you have a healthy environment, that if you start pulling seeds from this plant, you're actually pulling bad genetics right there because the seed was popped poorly. So I think it's just really important to understand that if you don't have seeds popped and have the ability to transplant within the first 3 to 5 days from a Dixie cup, you might not want to use that as a phenotype to keep taking clones off of. But just keep it in consideration, because I've heard that from many people. I've read that from a number of like white papers. At some point, I have to, go with it, because I'm not the scientist in a sense. And then I think I've heard it also from Elaine Ingram in one of her books too. So go ahead, guys, on that. I thought that was also important with seeds.
Yeah. Do we want to go to a different subject? We want to go to Alex's subject now, Mark?
Yeah, let's do it.
That subject makes sense though about the seeds, because I had a seed that didn't pop for like 5 days, and then when it sprouted and I planted it, it just really wasn't the healthiest plant. And when it finished out, it just really was like it was like it was stunted its whole lifestyle.
Well, you brought this up, Aaron.
There's something about it.
You brought this up, Aaron, the other day with autos, right? What makes autos flower out early?
Stress.
You just told me that. I thought that was brilliant the other day. And that's what we're just saying. If that seed doesn't pop properly, then and I see dwarf autos all the time. I'm always wondering why. And then Aaron told me that the other day. I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And then through this conversation, it makes me want to tailor everyone that's growing autos a little more differently.
Yeah, no transplanting, get them right into the biggest pot you can find. And yeah, give them, you know, don't overwater, you know, just a lot of dry, let them dry back, you know, let the soil dry back a lot so the roots search out. You know, I get really big. My roots are always really big and healthy. I mean, they're always just, I mean, I got like little pencils coming out of the bottom of the stalk, you know, the main stalks. Like, I took a video of it the other day. It was pretty cool.
Hey, Mike, what did you have, Mike?
I was just thinking, you know, that's one of the main benefits of being a member of the members only group is that you get contact with people like Aaron that knows shitloads of autoflowers. And, you know, when that came up to Mark, he was just on a friendly call. I was planting some autoflowers and the guys joined in with me when we were discussing it. So, you know, it's one of the benefits of being a member. You get access.
Yeah, that, I mean, going off of Mike said, that was a video we shot on Mike's channel the other day. That's where I got that information. Sorry to interrupt you, Mike, but thanks guys. Sorry about it. Keep going, Mike.
I was finished. No, I just wanted to point that out, you know, that there's a lot of benefits of being connected with all you guys, because, you know, everybody has a little bit of knowledge, you know, and everybody has a trick, and everybody's willing to share what's working, you know. Every week in my garden, I get all kinds of questions, and I share with them, you know.
And especially now, autos are gaining a humongous amount of ground, and we've been talking about it in the groups about getting good genetics, and really important with autos, that you find someone that's breeding these properly, and you're going to get these nice plants that are going to yield for you, and you can get good yields. You know, I just did a harvest, and one of them I hit 130 grams off the one plant, one auto, and I was super happy with it. I'm super proud of it. And like Mark was saying, I've seen some super dwarfs, and I wonder why. Like, is it in the genetics? Did they cause stress? You know, because you see some very miniature plants out there, and I wonder why. And it makes sense with the stress, but finding good genetics. Aaron, who's the best in autos? Come on, give it up. Give it up.
I like Mephisto.
Yeah, and you know, I did a lot of research with Mephisto, and they're like the OG in autos. Like, they were really focusing on creating proper genetics. And if you guys go on their website, you're going to see they're openly giving you the genetic history, how they bred it, and what strain are you, like F4, F5, and you're going to see that they put in a lot of work, and they're backed 100%. Very good company. Highly recommend trying to get it. I want some.
You know, as the thing with autoflowers is they came out, you know, years ago, and I guess I understand the stigma, you know, but a lot of growers, you know, you would mention something about autoflowers and they'd laugh you out of the, you know, the chat rooms and stuff, because everybody was into photo periods, and you know, the autoflowers were kind of a joke when they first came out. And I understand, you know, you look back at the history of autoflowers, and I think I remember it was like something that I heard. It was like they were in Russia. They found them in Russia in like the 1900s in like a ravine. They found them in rubble. That's why they got their name, ruderalis, because they were kind of growing out of rocks, but they had like almost low to no THC level at all. And, you know, they didn't really think of it until I think it was the 70s or something, the 1970s, when they started breeding it, and they made the lowrider strain. And that was like one of the first strains, somewhere around there in 2000. They started really getting deep into them. But that's when they started taking them serious, when they started breeding those into other strains, like, you know, like the Bruce Banners and the other ones like that, to make a hybrid of an autoflower and a feminized plant. And it really took off really good, and they ended up getting some really great results, and getting a 9-week flowering plant that you can, you know, grow from seed to 9 weeks, and you got, you know, harvest.
Yeah. Shane, you have something, bud?
Hey, I don't mean to interrupt, but quick question. What site was that again?
Mephisto Genetics.
All right, thank you.
I'm gonna forewarn you, they do seed drops. It's you can buy like 1 pack per strain. They limit it. They're very hot when they do come out. You can also look up Night Owl. His name is Daz. Daz worked directly with Medfesto. He's actually in Spain with them working, and he's here in America creating very good genetics for autos. That's what he specializes in. So Mephisto, I think they do drops every Monday. You can subscribe, and then the same thing with Night Owl. He's on IG and stuff like that, and they do drops. So you got to kind of get yourself in that circle, know when they're going to be dropping, and then yeah, try to pick up yourself some packs of fucking dope ass seeds. Mark, you got something?
Or you can also just join the $2.99 membership and be part of the inside, because we're already doing it and we're already posting that shit all the fucking time. Okay.
It's you know, every single day we're talking. I mean, every single day.
Every fucking day.
We got music rooms now. I mean, we're doing things.
Yeah, that's the great thing about the membership is you got a lot of guys who are members of other things who are members of this program, so that they can share their benefits that they get of other information from other places, and they can share it with us. And that's one of the benefits that you might get from $2.99. You might get a benefit of a $20 membership from someplace else, because I always share all the stuff I get from other places when I got premium memberships or inside deals information. So that's a pretty cool plus to have, just indirectly.
Yeah.
There was one thing. Oh, sorry. From Clinton Baker, Australia still you still go to jail. Okay, I never encourage anyone to ever break the law, but I still do encourage all of you guys. Just because you can't grow this plant now doesn't give you any excuse to not grow something or be part of something like tomatoes and start developing your mindset. And you even being here, Clinton, just to let you know, you're already doing it, like FYI, and everyone else out there, like just know, because you first, don't break the law. I mean, really, actually, sometimes, I don't know. It's a hard concept,
I agree. Don't break the law. Don't break the law.
Thank you. Don't break the law.
Good suggestion. Don't break the law.
Don't break the law.
And start gardening. Learn how to grow.
Exactly.
Learn how to grow, because it's going to benefit you. Whether you start with tomatoes or cannabis, learning how to grow is the main thing you got to do. Even for guys that want to get into breeding just to make money. And don't. I'm not saying that it's not okay to learn how to do it. And if you're going to learn how to breed, to make seeds, to make money, and create a label and a pack, just make sure you do it right. Spend a year or 2 years it takes to cross them back. Make sure you're putting out a quality seed. If you're going to put them out, put out a quality thing. Don't be like all these guys out there just trying to make a quick buck because they see the industry's opening up. But seriously, if you're just growing tomatoes or cucumbers or whatever, watermelons or whatever it is that you want to grow, learn how to grow, because that knowledge is going to help you no matter what you're growing. And just learning how to grow anything is better than nothing. Even if you just got some house plants, I got some ferns behind me, whatever you want to, grab, just grow something and apply that knowledge, everything you learned from the channel, and you'll get better over time.
Aaron, I just want to say thank you for being such an excellent wingman, honestly, right? Because like you said, never break the fucking law. You always have to get it right. It's not fucking worth it. And come in from the back end, like Aaron's saying, start the grow, start your brand, start selling tomato paste or sauce or whatever, develop some other things. And then when they let you legalize it with hemp, start with the hemp, be the first ones out, with the best CBD products. And then when they let you do the other one, then open up a little bit more of your acreage to do that. And then because you already have a developed brand,
you're
maxing out the price margins.
Yeah, honestly, like you're saying, Mark, if you're going to do it that way, plan ahead and plant everything out there. Get your cover crops in, get all your plants set up so that you're building a healthy microbiology in the soil that you're going to plant into when they do decide to plant those hemp plants or CBD plants or marijuana plants. You can grow tomatoes or whatever you want for years and then rip them all out and cut them off at the stalks and plant cannabis right next to them, and it'll be ready to go.
I love that shit. That's cool, man. That's a great suggestion. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah, don't mention it, man. Anytime.
So do
Next
we want
question, Dave?
All right, so we had Alex talking before in the beginning about he's using 10 to 15 gallon pots. He's working in a partnership with somebody and trying to develop watering SOP techniques for proper watering. They're clearly not in agreement. And if I can just add my 2 cents, I don't know how large your guys' operation is, and I don't know why, but people totally underestimate watering from the bottom up. And I know it takes a little bit longer, but if there's any doubt, if you have big saucers and you add water to the bottom and it soaks it up and you keep adding it and you keep adding it, eventually it's going to hold where you get full saturation. And you can do a combination from the top and the bottom, but whether it's my house plants, my medical plants, I like to do a combination of both. If you guys have doubt, just water at the bottom. Once it stops soaking up water, take that water, dispose of it so the pot can lose whatever is left if it needs to, but you're going to get full saturations. And you guys just have to come up with something, because the plant needs some type of schedule, and if your guys are, he's watering it, you think he's underwatering it, and then you're going in there watering it more. Are you now over watering it? Like, what do you guys have for your schedules? Like, is it as the plant needs, or do you guys try to have a schedule? For me, I know I try to water in the morning, certain times I know my schedule, but in terms of thoroughly watering it, what are you guys doing? Mike?
I have I bought like a little cheapy moisture meter for the soil that I'll use as well. Just shows me where it's at. At any time of the day, really. So it's kind of nice. It's a little cheapy one I got off Amazon.
Yeah, like right now, I have so many plants and different stages in flower. I'll just kind of go in and feel the bottoms, feel the plants, and water accordingly. So some days some need water, other days other ones need water. The biggest thing, kind of embarrassing, it took me so long to do it. A watering wand will really save your back. Before, I was crawling underneath, getting everywhere, trying to water the plants, and then just a piece of PVC, with the funnel, it makes it so much easier to water the plants.
Yeah. Mike, your plants are like little bushes in your basement right now. What are you doing? Something's right.
Well, yeah. I water is I am a pro bottom waterer, but I'm not, because of the style pots that I'm using right now, and I'm growing 100% organic. I have the living soil, so I have to be careful of not drowning everything out, right? Because you don't want to kill out all that work you put into it. So I top water. But what I would like to talk about is the dealing with the partners, because everybody knows I run a dispensary, or I gave it up to my daughters, but I have 29 growers, so it's like having 29 partners. So I would have more than 2 cents to add to that subject. I've built a lot of people, and there's a way of getting around with it. Just give an example. Perfect Gardens, like, it's a family business. We're 4 of us, and we're sitting at the table, and everybody's got an even say, right? And a lot of times we don't agree, But that would be that would be a sitcom series on itself. Just letting you guys know. But yeah, so that's the watering aspect. It would be an option for Alex to bottom water, and then when he's not there, his partner can top water the way he likes, and Alex can come around back and saturate the way he wants. So that would be a great compromise between both of them.
Go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
Well, okay, no, Mike, you just hold that thought. I will be back to you in 3 seconds. Kind of like what Mike's leading on to this. Mike will be actually we're coming out with sitcoms, basically. That's why they call it Perfect Gardens TV, right? Of different things that are happening in the industry, you know, and Mike goes through so many different things with so many different people. And I just remember 72 different farms I was rotating through. It was just insane. Everyone had different things going on. You never know. You're dealing with emotional problems. You know, you're dealing with the owner, the buyer, the seller, the marketeer, the waterer, the planter. You know, and he has a day job too. You know, so and he has a wife he has to please. So it's like insane. And it's just so look forward to that. Look forward to all those different things starting to come out in the future. So Aaron, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, about the watering is what I like to do, and that's the thing I love about these fabric pots is if you look at the fabric pots when they're dry, I water every morning, right when the lights come on. So I water my pots right when the water comes on, and I only got 5 pots. I'm only watering 5 plants, so I got a pitcher. I use a pitcher like a 1-gallon pitcher. And I go around, and when I top water, they got a catch pin that they go into, but that's for runoff. I try not to have any runoff. So what I love about the cloth bags, the pots, is that you can actually look at the pots when the water's going down. As you pour it in, it kind of starts going down and it starts saturating it, and you can see it saturating through the pot as it goes down. You can kind of see the water trickle down inside the pot as it's, as you go slow. You can't go too fast, but I've water in pretty slow, and then I just kind of watch it. And as it starts to get about 1 inch from the bottom, I stop watering, and it usually keeps going. And I might have a little bit of runoff, but by noon, or whatever time of the day it is, that I'm checking, like, 12 hours later, 6 hours later, whatever, before the lights go off, the water's usually sucked back up. And if it's not, then I usually, will take it out and feed it to my house plants or something. But most of the time it's always sucked back up because I don't have a whole lot of overwatering, But like I said, I'm talking about living soil. So I know with the hydro guys and stuff that grow with synthetics and nutrients still, that they want a lot of runoff and stuff, but not with the living soil. So that's how I like to do my living soil beds, is just water until I see it get close to the bottom, and then I know it's fully saturated.
Mark, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, I wanted to say something about my buddy Scott always used to he tells me all the time, actually, still, mindset over skill set. And he tells me all the time because I re-listen to our recordings and the conversations we have. And he's one of my mentors, and he says mindset over skill set. And just remember that, guys, is that you can, with someone that has the right mindset, you can teach them anything. But a person that has all these skill sets, but they don't have the right mindset, they're going to be useless to the operation. And so I go back to it, every single time, guys, is that develop your core values for yourself, because really that's what everyone's asking. If you want to have a healthy company, you want to have healthy systems and processes, you want to have watering that's consistent, you have to develop yourself, your own core values, and then echo them out to people, right? And there's going to be 2 types of people that come back. There's going to be the type of person that really likes what you're hearing, and the other type of person that's going to want to cut your legs from underneath you. Okay, as you get better at understanding these types of 2 souls, you're going to be able to keep the defenses up from those people to the ones that actually really are like, you know what, I have similar core values, and from that point forward, things will flow better through everywhere. And you got to understand that if you've made decisions already, and that it's, I don't want to say it's too late, but you've made a partnership that you got, you got to work it out. You either got to work it out, or you're on this, you could be potentially on this very slow burning ship, that's sinking, and I don't think I want to say you in general, because this is one of our own clients, but in general, talking to everyone, I don't think we all when in these situations really understand how big that hole is, and how much a saboteur, a person that is dealing with their own mental illnesses possibly is going to keep chiseling away at that hole, or keep adding fuel to the fire. So I think it's so important to develop your own core values, and then echo them out, and then understand that roughly, understand these statistics, that roughly 2,000 people you run through, one of those people is going to be a partner. Okay, a real partner, a real motherfucker that's going to stay with you to the fucking end, right? So you have to have. So if I have an example, if I have to be circulated around 10,000 people before I find 5 real partners, so take that into consideration. Those are partnership levels. Good employee levels, you roughly have to go through, I don't know, about 100 to 200 people before you find like a high quality manager in your company. And then you have to roughly go through 50 people before you find a high quality employee. And just understand that there's a filtering process, just like how through extraction and getting to the high quality oils, or all the way to a distillate, you have to increase the intensity through various processes, increase the intensity in your own life, burn off the impurities. And what's going to happen, you'll become a magnet that attracts certain energies that you're able to then go on and hopefully do good shit with. Yeah, that's my 2 cents with watering. And one of them has to come up with some type of SOP, something that they can, some type of guideline. And it's like almost how I heard Alex talking. It's almost like they're both looking for direction, but they haven't learned how to communicate that. And communication and that culture is extremely important. And those
sometimes you just need to go your separate ways.
Those early, well, and at the end of the day, it could be like that. But if they don't have certain SOPs, if they don't have certain SOPs in place, and they have nothing guiding them, then I mean, it's going to be what it is.
For methodology,
they got to agree on that. They got to agree on that. If they're not going to agree on anything, it's not going to matter. So like sometimes maybe they need to come up with an idea like, okay, you take half of them and I'll take half of them. You water your half the way you want to, and I'll water my half the way I want to.
And that's difficult. That's really difficult too, because it's not like that. That's why you bring on partnerships, to be able to rely on each other. And I know we're kind of getting into, go ahead, Hayes.
I was saying usually meeting in the middle is the best way to go about it, because then both people are heard. So you both need to put
absolutely. So that
it's like you both are wrong and you both are right. So you need to find somewhere in the middle, because it's I don't know. It's usually how I find it.
Well, one more thing to that, right? It's what Hayes is saying. Maybe meeting in the middle is allowing one partner to water the way they want for one full grow cycle, and measuring the yield difference. And then that partner commits to yielding, to watering the way the other partner wants, because you never know the position of these partners. You never know. One guy could be the money, the other guy could be the investor, or the one guy's an investor, the other guy is the operations guy, whatever. You never know the how the roles have been agreed. But I think it's important. It could just be writing it all out and measuring the outcome. And if you measure it, then you can actually know what is the best decision, because you could be wrong too. You could be wrong. You don't even know if your watering technique is the best watering technique.
But you hit on something there, Mark. Before you get into something, you have to establish those rules. What role what person is going to play in a partnership.
Honestly, I would just say, personally, I would just let it fly, because most people overwater their plants anyway, and these plants need less water. People don't realize it. So if you think he's overwatering it, if you think he's overwatering it, then just tell him to back off. But if he don't back off, I wouldn't add no more. If you think he's underwatered it, just leave it, and then come back.
Anything that helps with communication.
No, yeah, definitely gotta work out that relationship or something.
A great book is Nonviolent Communication. NVC is a really great book. Everyone wants to read it, download it. highly recommend downloading the book. Not I can't remember that's the exact name, but Nonviolent Communication in VC has changed my entire life and revolutionized everything. Just being able to hear what other people are saying. Aaron, please go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Or Dave.
No,
Dave,
it's cool, man. I was just gonna say that, you know, compromise. You know, if you can't compromise, if people can't compromise, I don't see it a relationship. So, I mean, if you can't compromise with the person and come to a compromisation, I think the relationship's doomed to fail regardless. You might as well just start looking for another way to do it. But I mean, salvage what you can. You know, I don't know the situation, what's going on. It's hard to offer any advice, you know, but in my opinion, I would just like they said, man, you got to, you know,
maybe find a
you got
container
to come to
that
some kind of compromise, you know, because without you know, harmony, I mean, the plants are going to pick up on that. I believe that if there's a negative environment, the plants are going to suffer. Like you're going to grow negative weed, like weed that you smoke is going to make you angry or some shit. Like I think if you grow weed in a happy environment, you're going to have happy weeds. You know, if a paranoid person's growing weed, his weed's going to make you paranoid when you smoke it. I mean, that's just what I believe, though. I mean, I'm all like in tune with the earth and the harmony of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy.
Aaron, I hope so.
pheromone.
Because I have two beautiful women in the house, and I'm walking around with a heart on all the time. So does that mean everybody's going to be smoking my thing is going to have a heart on?
Fuck.
I'm just fucking with you guys. You know what I'm saying?
As long as you're not taking
I want your
Viagra,
shit.
yeah.
I want it. I'm going. Yes, I will see you tomorrow.
We named that strain Viagra.
Hard on 2.0. Wow. Wow. He said it. He said it.
Okay, sorry
No,
guys.
we're gonna call it Canadian bacon.
So no, but it does make a difference, because look at the other day when we were helping out that client, and the guy was so consistent with his plants and doing everything at the same time that his plants were going to sleep even before he turned off his lights, because they knew at a certain point in the day. So that's the point I wanted to make before I started to make a client out of myself. That's
Do we want to go to the next topic?
Sure.
So
sorry, just before we drop on this, Alex, if you're listening, I would love to touch with you, because in this group we solve not only growing problems but a lot of other problems. It's one of the benefits of being part of this group.
And
Thank
Johnny too. Johnny had a question. He had his hand up.
I just wanted to say that I've got a grow at my house that I've got my 4 plants that I'm allowed to. And then I have a buddy of mine that we have a grow together, and he just agreed to say, look, man, you know what you're doing. Just let me know what I need to put in as far as money wise, because I have no clue. You just do it, you know, because I don't want to mess anything up. You obviously got some kind of clue of what's going on. So you take care of what you got.
Going back to what Mike said, seriously, and what you're saying too, Johnny, is really clearly defining the roles and responsibilities, the hat that you're wearing in your company, and that each partner is defining that roles, and then creating an environment of trust, saying, listen, these are your responsibilities encapsulated on this piece of paper. If something comes up that's not on this piece of paper, let's talk about it. Who's going to be responsible for it? Because if there's an expectation that is created in our minds without clear communication, we're setting ourselves and everyone else up for failure, right? Like it's I mean, you hear what you get what I'm saying, right? And that's what Mike's saying too, is like just and then also having pride that you were able to work through all the animosities and develop something with someone else, whether it was through your wife or whether it was through another partner, saying like, wow, you know, there was trust and it all worked out. And that creates once again a stronger humic layer in your community, and will create a stronger brand, because if you guys can develop it together, one guy, it only means that now you have 2 or 3 credit scores, right? Where you can go to a bank one day and ask for a loan. And these are the things that as a membership, I promise we will get into this shit. We will start to develop and look at these ways of how to capitalize on this marketplace as the food industry begins to have major problems on lack of knowledge of how to grow food, and also on how the cannabis industry begins to collapse, and these cannabis growers are accumulating more land. What happens when the industry collapses? Are they going to bail out, or are they going to be strategic and do something else?
Probably bail out.
Oh,
Or they'll get a bailout.
And then we can buy their land. We can buy their shit for pennies on the dollar.
That's our tax money going back.
That's right. Also, I want to add on that situation with the 2 growers. It sounds like they don't they have to build a rapport with each other, and they also, if they're going to be growing, they're going to be growing a lot of plants together, or a decent amount. Also, your growing method should be lining up, because at the end of the day, you want product. You want something that you want to be able to yield something. So be rapport, communication. If there's a problem, talk about it. Also, the growing, get in line with each other. Like, okay, this is, you want to grow like this to achieve this. That's great, but let's do this together. So we're both not trying to figure it out as we go. Each time we're doing, each time we're checking out, looking at the plants, it could be a tag team scenario. Like, okay, you look for this, I'll look for this. Or, you know what I mean? Even watering. Like, I'll go by there, I'll water a little lightly, go by there, or maybe just both of them water lightly, consistently, instead of drenching them, or, just lightly go over there. You don't have to really drench it. You could just, because it is weed. It will grow, if you, you don't have to drench it. You know what I mean? It'll grow. You can let the soil dry out a little bit too.
Yeah.
That's all I had to say.
I totally agree with that. And even your environment, you guys have to remember your environment's also going to play a key role. And what I mean by that is even the level of your humidity in your environment. So if you have higher levels of humidity, the evaporation rate out of those pots is going to be a lot less. So the plant has more time to absorb the amount of moisture. My last grow, I did 5 plants, and I keep very accurate matrix and spreadsheets of my grows. And I used 52 gallons over 5 from seed to harvest, 52 gallons. So it comes out to 10 gallons per plant over the whole run. And they were 80 and 89 day autos. So I go on little bits of watering, kind of letting it dry back, but 10 gallons for the whole run, per plant.
I'm the complete opposite. I grew 1,467 plants, and I don't measure fuck all. I put them in the grow and I watch them grow, because I'm the kind of guy that grows with a shovel and a hose. That's about it. So
and a ladder at one point towards the end of your season, you're on a ladder too, I saw.
yeah, that's just to
And then you use a chainsaw or an axe to harvest them too.
no.
Guy, this is also something to kind of look forward to. One of the questions here on the thread was they were asking about light cycles and when their seasons extend. So just look forward to to Perfect Gardens actually releasing more videos of when certain times go into natural veg times and go into flowering. Because we're going to get into this later down the seasons, but I see these questions kind of popping up a little bit. I just want to make it clear we will cover this later in the season and look forward to those videos.
And what Mark is mentioning is going to be a very important tool for a lot of people.
Yeah, 100%. It's a big subject in the community. Lights, I mean, we were talking about it the other day in the group about how much the lights and stuff are evolving, just how much is changing. It's worse than phones right now, and it can be very, very overwhelming.
I agree on that one. That is a scary situation.
It's it's like this one's the best, this one's the best, this has more reds, this has more blues, this has spectrum. I mean, we're all learning how to, you know, look at products in a certain way to optimally get the most out of it. But then people kind of separate themselves that every strain is just potentially going to be different. Like I reached a certain wattage and a certain par, and I noticed my girls in 2 days, I'm like, nope, they don't like it. Dropped it back down. And at the end of it, after I looked at my whole grow, I averaged 271 watts with the autos. And I'm pushing over 100 grams per plant. And I'm at almost a pound between the 5 plants right now. I got one more to trim, and that will be the final, but I'm at 14 ounces so far, for 271 watts on average. And if I kept pushing them, my yield probably would have been decreased, because I noticed right away that the plants were not liking it whatsoever. And in this market, there's so many powerful lights, and not every strain can handle it. You guys have to adapt, especially with the autos. The autos in my mind are different. Aaron, I think you were talking about that too, about the autos and their needs, nutritional needs, light needs. And this is all stuff that we're going to be diving into.
That is a very interesting point, Dave, because the autos definitely, you can't cook them like I'm doing with the girls in the back here, that they're getting 1,000 photons a second. I got my autos in a corner where they're getting about max 550, and they're doing super well on that amount of, autos, different world.
And maybe some strains can handle it, but you have to do it strain by strain. You have to be adaptable. You can't just think that you're going to maximize that light every time. And maybe there is ways with CO2 supplements and such like that. But for me, I'm about seeing what the plant wants. As it reacts, I adapt to its needs, and learning how to read that plant. And I'm going to change up a few different things, and maybe I can go a little bit higher. But in my mind, with what I was doing, it had the nutrients, it had everything. It just didn't like the light intensity. I could have maybe raised them, but at the end of the day, my evaluation said lower it down. And the yields don't lie at the end of the day. You don't need 600-700 watts to produce big yields. It's one, primarily get good genetics, and read the plant and support its needs by visually knowing what you're seeing in that feedback loop.
Dave, just to jump in on what you're saying, again, just saying it a different way than you guys are saying it, but saying the same exact thing, is being more efficient with what you got. So see, Mike's being more efficient with what he's got because he's growing those autos in the corner, right? And then Dave is not. He's using a 400 watt light, correct, Dave? 400 watt.
It's 450. Yeah,
450, and he's getting really good yields. So he's also using less money, and we're going to be going through a grow journal with Dave, actually going through all of his numbers from his cost, his yields, everything, right? And because it's about understanding, again, not just understanding these plants, but giving a shit, right? Like okay, I'm learning how to grow the photos. Now I'm learning how to grow the autos, and I'm not just growing the autos and throwing them underneath the same conditions of the photo, but I'm becoming a little bit more hypersensitive to what is going on within the plants right now, right? It's like, okay, am I seeing an over toxicity? Am I seeing a deficiency? Am I seeing an over watering? Am I seeing a light intensity? All of these things the plants will show you based upon what's happening in the leaves or in the stems. Okay, and if you become more in tune to, and this is why I'm always encouraging. Perfect Gardens just released a video about growing 1 or 2 strains. I got tons of backlash on that fucking video because there was like, you don't know what you're fucking talking about. And this is what we're fucking talking about, right? Is like, if some guy went out there and just grew 25 different autos with some photos and threw them all in the same bunch, he would have never have noticed that the autos needed less light. He would have probably have misidentified the problem, and it took another more thoughtful grower to really be in tune to these plants and grow the same strain or the same phenotypes over and over and over, and have a stable seed bank to continuously repeat this process, to notice this, track that information, and then release it back into the community. And this is where we hope we take the same types of awarenesses, these visual. This is why I'm always encouraging people, get away from the refractometer, get away from the lab analysis, get away from all that bullshit, and just go out there and look at your goddamn fucking plants. And if you do that, you're going to be able to say, oh, okay, my tomato plants need something different. Okay, this is how it's appearing. I know what it is. And you'll be able to properly identify it, treat it, and then become a master grower. And a master grower is being able to grow anything at any time, bring in enough of a harvest to get your return on investment and feed yourself, your family, or maybe a portion of it goes back to your community. And that's master level grower status in my book.
Yeah, I mean, we all want to push it. I mean, and when you start looking up certain specs on plants and how much DLI, their daily light interval, they can actually take, and then you see what people are pushing them to, they're not prepared for it, one. And two, they're just causing more harm. And it really does take a toll on the plants, you know. And I'm one of those outcasts. I really like growing one strain. So I just harvested Northern Lights, and what did I just pop? I'm popping the same exact Northern Lights because I want to get to know these genetics, and I want to record the matrix for the groups and show them these subtle differences. And against my better, like, for me personally, I didn't want to use 3 gallon, but I put them in 3 gallon this run to see what they're going to yield. I examine their roots. I record all the matrices, and now they're in what I minimally want is a 5 gallon. And I want to show the difference about dialing in the strain. And a lot of people, they're focusing on, who wants to smoke the same stuff over and over? And I totally get that, you know, just have more friends that grow, you know, and then share, like, in the community. But dialing it in is going to make you so much a better grower and being in tune with those things. And it's super important. I mean, if you want to be that master grower with good harvests and good flavor end product, then it takes that time to be able to evaluate and to adapt and not overwhelm it. Don't sit there and keep putting all this stuff on it, because I looked at it for 2 to 3 days before I made a decision to dial the lights back down, because I wanted to see how the plant was reacting. Maybe it was going to stabilize a little bit and then adjust to it. But at the end of the day, I looked at all 5 and I'm like, 3 of them, they're not liking it. I'm going to dial it back down. And I kept consistent at it. And at the end of the day, it averaged 271 watts over the whole 89 days. And someone would be like, that's it? And I'd be like, yeah, I got a 450 watt light, but it doesn't need it. This strain can't handle it. Now I got some other strains that are coming, and it doesn't mean that it can't handle it. And I can go 450 watts all day. You know, we'll see, but I don't know.
Say, Sidetrack just jumped on. We haven't heard from him in a while. How's it going, Sidetrack?
Yeah, man. I've been working 80 to 90 hours a week, and it's been crazy, let me tell you.
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
Yeah, but my plants,
struggle is real. The struggle is real.
But my plants are, thanks to you guys, my flowering, let me just show you. I'm right in front of my flowering, which to me, they mostly look great. I think I see a little bit of phosphorus. I see some purpling on some of them, but they're like in their 6th week already. So
yeah, that's natural. Yeah, you're almost done,
I'm not
man.
too
Looking
concerned.
good.
Bro, I'm so proud of you, man, because you're reading the plant. You're like, I'm seeing some purple. I think it's some phosphorus, right? I love that shit, right? And you're good. Thank you. Like, you just brought so much. Like, if nothing else gets done today, that seriously, I'm like, that made all of today fucking worth it, man. I appreciate that.
You know, nice and green, one solid color. So, you know, I'm learning something. The compost work, the worm castings definitely do its job. I can tell you that for sure, 100% guaranteed. Like, you can see it right there. These 3 are all in worm castings. This is the same strain, and you can see that the green is not the same.
I say you learned a lot, man. You're looking good there. I say you glad you joined the membership.
Definitely.
Johnny,
and
unmute real quick. What do you got with us? What do you got for us?
Well, the whole growing the different strains. My first go around, I had a bunch of different strains. They were a bunch of bag seeds, and they were just like 6 different plants, and they were all over the place. And I thought, I dealt with that. I can deal with different strains and autos, and it's not worth it. As soon as I'm done with these autos, I'm going to stick with one strain for a while and just figure it out, and not mix them up, because they're even in the same strain. Each plant acts different and wants to drink different, eat different, and it's hard to keep up with. You got 3 different strains in there, and these 2 want to do this, and this one wants to do that, and you forgot. Oh man, I forgot I already did that to that one, and you have to go back and check notes and make sure you did this, and it's a lot of stuff going on when you got different strains, and it's crazy.
That's kind of what's going on with Chris's situation too. Chris is growing 2 strains that were supposed to be the same, and growing a sour D, and then he also ran into a water issue, which is interesting too, because I think the sour D is like dramatically stacking. Like, whoa! Like, you got to see this plant. It's like it's an auto flower. I don't even know if he topped it. I can't remember if he topped it or not. Like, Chris, I don't know if you're still listening or not. But you have these like 20. You didn't top it, right? So he had
No, that's just how it grew.
Oh man! So he has like these 20 shoots. But I swear, it is performing. The leaves look yellow, but this sour diesel is performing so amazing. Like, I mean, like I'm really hoping that we're able to fix the nutrient deficiency and really take it to its full level, because I don't know what it's going to do, but it's the best. It's like it's stacking so beautifully on the sour D with all these 20 different shoots. I mean, it's just so, and we'll see what happens. But this is what Chris going through: multiple strains, a whole bunch of different things are happening, and we're getting multiple results, if that makes sense.
Got some pictures for us? You got some pictures for us?
Oh, I do have pictures, but it's gonna be hard for me to get them to you right
No,
now.
I was asking Mark. No, I know. I was asking Mark.
I'll pull them up. I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah, I figured you could put them on the page. Let us look at them.
Yeah, you'll see my opinion on this, right? You'll be like,
what's really weird about this is I got 2 Gorilla Glues in there, and they look completely, almost, one's about double the size of the other one, and they've all been through the same thing. And then even with the sour diesel, when I popped those seeds, they were under the same light, same dome, everything. And the sour diesel actually stretched so much it fell over. But now
I believe
now
it. Yeah, I like to use those yo-yos for that kind of stuff.
Where do you get those yo-yos?
I got mine off of Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 7 of the same blue cheese, and almost none of them look exactly the same as the other.
Yeah, you're going to get different phenos within the same seeds. You're going to see different traits and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing as everybody else. I used to have a lot of different strains. I was like kind of treading water, right? Oh, this one needs CalMag. This one needs P. This one needs sugars. I kind of cut it down, which is a lot easier, right? I do have probably too many right now, but it does make it a lot easier. And the same thing everybody else is saying. I have 2 of the same strain going. They're both keepers, but one's super tall, one's pretty short. Same light, same everything. And one of them, that's actually why I came to Perfect Gardens, because one of them was crashing really, really hard despite all my efforts. I couldn't figure it out. Every other plant was good. And this plant just shoots up. I tried to stunt it in 1 gallons. It's 4.5 feet tall, and 3 gallons. It's 5.5 feet tall. It just likes to grow, which is a good trait, but it was just really sucking on micros and CalMag and P, and Mark helped me stabilize it. I'm actually about to chop it down, and the thing's a beast. And but yeah, so 2 strains. One's like 2 feet, the other's 5 feet.
You know, and the little advice, if people want to do multiple strains, it's we're not saying it's not okay. And if you're in the market for lighting, keep in mind too, instead of buying maybe one big light, whether it's a plate or a bar light, maybe buy 2 smaller lights. So if you do get a strain that is stretching faster, or you know that strain naturally is growing higher, one's more bushier, then you can adapt your lights to adjust for one side of the grow to the other, and give yourself a little bit of flexibility. I see too often when people have one big light and with multiple strains, and one's right at the light, you know, within inches, and the other one is like 3 feet away. So it's just something, you know, to keep in mind, that if you do want to grow that style and you do want to bring multiple strains into your garden, maybe have that adaptability with your lighting as well.
Hey Dave, I sent you over the pictures on on your personal Telegram. Can you pull them up? You'll see that the 2 smaller ones are the Gorilla Glue, and then, which I don't even think they're forming like a Gorilla Glue, but it's okay. And then you have the Sour Diesel, which is actually forming like a Sour Diesel, and it's only, I think, in week 4, but it's just.
Can you see my screen with the one that's posed right now, or no?
Yeah, I can see your screen. And then can you flip to the other 2? So this is Sour Diesel, auto flower. I mean, you see all those flowers? It's insane. No topping.
Yeah, auto. If you LST autos right, I mean, you'll produce a lot of bud sites. A lot.
But he
of bud
didn't.
sites.
He didn't at all. He did no topping.
No, not topping. LST, just bending.
Oh, just
low
bending.
stress
Oh,
training the
sorry.
whole canopy, and then eventually, man, there'll be tons of nice bud sites.
So this
is low stress training for the win.
That's just the genetics of the plant for real. A lot of times sometimes it's just the genetic. You might do everything right and it'll still just grow like that. It's short and stumpy. That just might be the genetics, and it might be the same strain. I've had eight of the same strain and get like 3 or 4 different expressions from the same strain, you know. But
well, we're talking about seed genetics. What company did you get this from? This is always when I love asking this question whenever we look at plants. Like, where did you get your seeds from?
I got these from Herbie Seeds.
Herbie Seeds. Aaron, what do you think of Herbie Seeds?
I've never heard of them. I couldn't tell you anything about them. Okay. Yeah, so that's one thing you got to watch out for is the you know, like I said, there's a lot of overnight seed companies that just started up, and like there was like that video that Dave shared on Telegram the other day that was pretty cool with the Dark Horse doing the calling out all those fake companies and stuff. But I don't think people realize. Yeah, I don't think how many people realize that how many people are out there just trying to profit from this boom in the industry going legal in all these states now. 16 states are legal. They've got medical, they've got recreational, and people are starting to realize, wow, we can really make money off of these seeds. All we got to do is, you know, breed some plants together and make some seeds, put them in a package and sell them off and call them Bruce Banner or OG Kush or whatever's popular right now. And you're not even getting the strain that you think you're getting because they're just named it that because that's what's popular. And it might be some Skywalker OG or something. And they go, oh, it's Bruce Banner because Bruce Banner's popular, and it's sad. But, you know, and I understand that there's people, that's what I was talking about. You got to be careful. You don't get seed chuckers out there just trying to make money. And you got to make sure the guy knows what he's doing. He's out there doing it. He's crossbreeding his genetics back into each other it takes a year or 2 years to stabilize a strain to some extent, to where when you get 10 pack of seeds, you know, a guy, you know, expects to get at least 4 or 5 of the same expressions. You know, of course you're going to have, you know, 3 or 4 different other ones, but you like to get at least the 4 or 5 of what you thought you were going to get when you saw the picture that you looked at least something similar to those, but a lot of times you never get anything similar to what the picture is that was posted, because they're just putting up fake pictures to get you to go, oh, wow, yeah, that looks good, I want that. But then when you grow it out, it doesn't look anything like that because it wasn't.
and just to kind of keep going along with what you're saying, and also telling you a personal story. And again, this doesn't happen to me. I'm always in a very unique situation in circles where I'm listening to what's happening, or someone's telling me what's going on, and they're like, hey, how should I handle this, like, and because you're, and so anyways, so this guy, this was 3 years ago, ended up selling. And one guy thought they were buddies, but I guess one guy ended up fucking this guy 10 years ago. And then then they thought they were over it. But then now this guy that was screwed over ended up is now a large CBD company out in Oregon. And he went to him, it's like, hey, I want some seeds for 8 acres. Ended up purposely selling them the wrong supply of seeds, because at the end of the day, who are you going to go to? Who are you going to sue? And just to
you know about it.
Absolutely, eye for an eye. So be careful with those
federal
things.
Government, right? Because as far as the federal government concerned, it's still illegal, right?
It is. It's still illegal. Who are you going to cry to? Who are you going to sue? And how much money do you know how much money it takes to go through a lawsuit? Anywhere from $35,000 to $50,000.
Right.
If you're going to want to win it. And that's normally a 50-50 shot most of the time. So just be very careful. Like it's very important to still be part of the ground roots in this industry, because again, we're going back to it, right? You want to be able to take to do a hop, skip, and a jump, right? And that's what we're talking about in the next 5 years of this industry. Take advantage of growing these plants. As this industry collapses, you take your wealth and you're strategic and you reinvest it in other things, and you do a hop, a skip, and a jump. And you don't make bad decisions. And sometimes the bad decisions are just being quick, trusting the wrong person, not thinking that some guy forgot it when he really didn't. You have to have your guard up, because a lot of times, a lot of people are just waiting for you to be successful. And
check to see where it's coming from. Check to where they're out of too. If you're getting seeds from a guy or a company that's out of North Carolina or somewhere where there's no legal cannabis, or there's no seed, cannabis and stuff. It's like, they're probably just making seeds and selling them to make money. Like you want to get a hold of somebody like Humboldt, one of those old school seed companies. Humboldt's a good company, and then you got all those guys like Mephisto. I do a lot of auto flowers, but you got there's a lot of good breeders out there that know what they're doing, like James Loud. I really like James Loud's stuff. I've had a lot of his seeds. I like a lot of his gelatos, his gelato OGs and stuff. They're really frosty. They're really good genetics. He's a really good breeder. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of guys out there that know what they're doing. They've been doing it for a long time in the business, and they care about the business. And you just gotta check your source. Like with anything you do, you go to a car dealership, you make sure you're not buying a lemon. You check online, you get the Carfax behind it. Nowadays you check. If you don't know, check around, ask. Don't just buy something that looks good online, because there's a lot of fakers out there. There's a lot of guys copying other guys' stuff, and they're trying to take credit for their work by changing the names of their stuff. And it's like, that's my plan. There's guys out there that have created genetics, and that's another thing that they're doing. They're stealing their credit for the stuff they spent all their life creating. Some guys, I can't remember his name. He's created like 4 strains. It took him 5 years. He put them all out, and then a bunch of people were trying to steal his strains and rename them something else. And then other people found out, and they made it right. But it takes a long time for that to happen, because the industry, there is nobody to talk to other than the people in the industry. So the people that were higher up in the industry, once they found out, they did something about it. But if you're not connected to those circles, or if you don't have any relationship with them, then, you know, if you're on just a small scale or, you know, just a home grower, you're never going to know anything like that. So you need to join like a membership like this to be able to find out, to get into people who are in those circles or stuff like that. Or, you know what I mean? It's just like a lot of the information
you
isn't
lose
out
6
there.
months
Or,
of
you
your
know,
life. You lose 6 months of your life and all that opportunity. 6 months of your life. Just keep that in mind, man. And you risk it. You risk depending upon where you're living, you're risking something.
Yep.
It's just, you know.
Johnny, did you want to put something into that?
I forgot.
Hayes,
you have something?
Hayes, you got something?
Yeah, so this comes down to like product research, because this is something that you're going to be investing a lot of time and money into. So it comes down to looking at a seed bank that you know of, and then seeing who they're hosting as like their companies that they're selling the seeds for. And then you can go to those companies' websites. They usually have a website, and then they'll provide vendors. And then those will be their reliable vendors that they're providing you to go on a treasure hunt. And then you can look at all those websites and look at those genetics. And then you'll be able to, by looking at other verified websites, so like Seeds Here Now, that's a common one. They will have their genetics that they have on there, and then you can go to those companies' websites, and then they'll just have their vendor list. So Sin City has their vendor list. They have them on Instagram. Instagram's a good place to see who is growing new genetics. And then I'll go and I'll look at what certain larger operations are growing, and then I'll look at those genetics, and then that's a good way to actually come across new breeders that are vetted by a larger grower. So it just comes down
I'm a
to
little
like,
hesitant. I agree with you about I agree with you, Hayes, on the on checking on your seed banks and checking on your stuff and verifying it. And I agree that IG is a good platform for checking people's stories out.
No, not people. Larger operation growth. So people.
Well,
who
operations,
actually,
yeah, all that stuff. Checking out all that stuff. But
so
you
a lot
also
of
gotta
a lot of them
for all the
get
fakers.
genetics.
There's a lot of fakers on there too. You're right.
Well,
There's a lot of good guys. There's a lot of good guys, but there's a lot of fakers.
I'm not saying to buy seeds off of Instagram. I'm saying to look at the larger operations that are legitimate, see what they are growing. They usually get hands on the new genetics by new breeders, and that it's just a good way to come across new breeders who are actually vetted.
It's a deeper vetting process, you know, and tell me if I'm correct, right?
No, you're very correct. And then it's also creates a large platform for people to chime in and say whether somebody is legit or not. And you literally get a plethora of different experiences with those genetics and with those breeders.
To wrap this up, because we are getting close to 3 hours, and to just sum up, I think what Hayes is telling me, and Hayes, tell me if I'm correct on this, is why is this so important? There, guys, are only a few more, and if you guys don't believe me, check out Tulip Mania, okay? Check out your history around this, okay? Inflations and deflationary periods, all right? So just how fast this industry will collapse. It will wake up and it will cease to exist within a few days. I'm telling you, okay? And my point to this is that if you want us to enter, but until that point happens, we're still going up. We're still going up. It's still making money. And think about it. If you can grow a head of lettuce, guys are growing a head of lettuce right now for roughly the same amount of square footage you can grow this plant. Well, 9 heads of lettuce. Okay.
Yeah. So buy as many seeds as you can.
So my point is that until people can stop, until people can make more money off that same square footage, they'll keep growing this plant. But I guess my point to what we were talking about, I kind of lost my point. I apologize. Was that Hayes? What were you saying for a second?
About the IG platform, checking people out.
Oh, the venting process. Thank you. So doing a really thorough job in your venting process before making a decision right now is super critical because we don't know when that collapse will happen. And if you do not do a more thorough job, it's not like where the industry was 10 years ago, where you could grow anything, get any trash, and still sell. You have to understand, and you can't still have the mindset of I can grow anything and it can go to extraction too. You can't think like that either. I'm just the point is you have to be really critical around your decision making now if you want to be on the commercial growing side, or you're throwing your money away. You really are. And we're coming up to 3 hours. Thank you.
Can we get in? Can we get in?
Seriously.
Sidetrack really quick. They got two people with their hands still raised. Sidetrack first, and then
Sure.
Shane after them. Sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something about the membership. If you're growing and you're not in this membership, you're doing it wrong, because like I had a lot of knowledge and I did a lot of research, months and months of research, but I like wouldn't apply the things that I would learn because I don't know, I just didn't have like that backup or that push that you need to do certain things. Like I was growing in cocoa and I was treating it like soil, not watering it enough. And I was always like, I'm always scared to do something, to take action based upon what I already known. So like you guys have, I can't even describe how much you guys have helped me with my process here.
So I can just add something on that. Skytrack, you're the perfect example because I remember you when you came on at the first
Trust.
into the channel. You were going in one direction and another, and then we were asking a whole bunch of questions, and we found and things got better from there, you know. But I find that you're a lot more confident, and congratulations on what's going on.
Thank you. I'm not even here anymore, and it's like everything's. I do my res, and that's it. I'm gone. Everything else is taken care of.
Hey guys,
Dave,
I can.
I'm gonna pull up his plants real quick and send them to you, Dave, while you pull up the next question from.
Yeah, Shane had something. Shane.
Dave, I can just add one thing just for you pull up the next question. I want to give some news to everybody. My channel has hit 100 subscribers or subs, and it's a big part of this group. You guys have been supporting me. I'd like to say thanks to everybody to help me make 100.
Anytime, brother.
Shane.
Yeah, I was going to throw in there about the membership, because you guys have talked about how helpful it is. And let me see if I can turn my camera on here and figure out how this works and show you the difference they've made in 2 weeks of being a member.
Yeah, you had some things going on.
Is it showing anything yet?
Yes,
there
now
you go.
It is. Now it is. Oh yeah. Looking green. Those were pretty rough shape.
They were dead.
Yeah, they were pretty much. Yeah.
They were.
Can you put those up on the screen, Dave?
The guy
Or no?
And this was 2 weeks ago.
I could maybe.
You can normally pull it up on the screen if you double click on it, or click. What you have to do is you have to stop sharing your screen, Dave, and I believe double click on his, or make his, or pin his, something like that. And I'm trying to find the other picture, your other pictures too, because I actually saw your pictures, and I was blown away when I looked at them, because they were like the phosphorus. They like you're going in a really bad direction, and then I just saw the pictures, and you forwarded me all the other pictures, the updated pictures, and I was like, whoa, holy shit! And the
2 week difference is mind blowing.
It really is. And guys, I'm letting you know, I don't have a lot of time. I'm really trying to play catch up a lot with like all the other shit that everyone else is asking me to do on a daily basis. So when someone asks me like, I feel bad when I don't get back to the Telegram for a day or two, but everyone's always like, oh, Aaron already got to me. Dave already got to me. Mike already got to me. or Adam or Chris or all these other guys have already got to me. Hayes has already got to me. And I just want to say thank you guys. Like straight up, you guys are being a straight up community, and I appreciate you not like waiting on me to do something and really jumping in there and helping everyone out because thank you. Straight up, everyone. Seriously.
We're a big community here, and we only want people to be able to grow the best, and we're all learn. Like till the day I depart this earth, I'm going to be learning so much new stuff from every single person brings something different to the table from their experiences. And like Shane said, when he came to us, I mean, these plants were pretty much dead, and now like I can't pull them up on the screen. I'm trying here, but they look nice, and we work together as a group.
And you can ask,
you jumped in there and helped me out, and within days they was looking better, and now 2 weeks later they don't even look the same.
Yeah. Well, I remember you messaging me like 3 days later, like, dude, they're already bouncing back. I'm like, give it time. We're not in the clear yet. Like, 10 to 12 days. And you're like, no, the leaves are back up. And I'm like, all right, now we have to make sure we do water management and just keep on supporting them. And yeah, I mean, they look amazing. Great job.
Guys.
You guys did a job. If it would have been left in my hands, they would be dead today. There would be 7 empty pots in here, not what I have now.
I'm happy for you, bro. I really am.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So we have a person in live chat. We have Hector asking, where do I sign up, guys? Mark, can you explain that?
Yes, normally on every single video there is a join button, but a lot of people have got back to me and said, hey, this button isn't there. So if it's not there, I created another bypass, which you're not going to get access to the membership videos, but I will give you access to the private Telegram group. And you have to email me at admin@perfectgardens.com. But just be really clear. I'm going to make it really clear that membership is an invite only. Like that $2.99, that what you're actually paying for is actually those videos, which you kind of like you don't get access to, which just sucks. But I'm just we have actually kicked people out of the group just for trying to distract us. There are Bitcoin Telegram places out there. There are shit out there. The rule is you can post if it has something to do with gardening. If there is I recently posted something about like TED Talk, right? And this lady used gardening in her example. And I was like, free game, baby. Posted that shit. Give me an opportunity to plant some other seeds about other topics, right? But it was a free topic, and that's my point. I guess my point is if you don't, it's a invite only. So just know that if you go haywire or crazy, talking about other stuff or political stuff, you're gonna get kicked out. I'll refund you the money. No big deal. We're looking for people that want to improve and want to, make their humic layer better around their community. And guys, we've hit 3 hours. So Dave, will you do me a favor? And the rest of you guys maybe just say goodbye, and we'll go ahead and close it all out. And after you say goodbye, you can probably exit out.
Yeah, no, thanks everybody out there in the YouTube world. Thanks for joining us. And
Shane's got his hand up, guys.
Remember that these are bi-weekly, so every other Sunday we're going to be coming live. Make sure, if you want to be part of the community that's continually growing, we get new members every single day. And, we're always observing and helping the best way we can. And, the best way is to sign up for $2.99, come over, beginner grower, medium grower, expert grower. The community needs every single person to make sure that this industry goes the right way.
Shane, you got a question?
All right.
Hey, Shane, you got a question? You had your hand up.
No, I forgot to put my hand down, bud. No, but
okay, no worries. No worries.
The $2.99 is worth $29.99. Believe me, it's worth $299.99. That it's invaluable, the information and the stuff you gain from the membership.
Oh, thanks for saying that.
Yeah, straight up. Also, Dave, all of you guys, like every one of you guys on there, straight up 3 hours. You guys just gave this channel 3 hours. Thank you so much. Straight up. Much appreciated. Seriously.
Thanks, guys.
It's always good to be here.
Thank you, everybody.
Johnny.
Thank you,
Sidetrack.
man.
Hey.
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, thanks
Have a
everybody,
good
man.
night.
Love talking
Mike,
about cannabis, man.
Aaron.
Anytime.
Hey, good night.
Adam,
Good talking to you.
Chris, Price. All right, guys.
Good night, John Boy.
All right. Good night, John Boy.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.
Okay. Night, guys.
Night,
Please remember
everybody.
to like, share, and subscribe only on Perfect Gardens TV. Are we gonna start saying funny shit now or what? Like,
Yeah, that's
all
it.
those, yeah, it's like all the funny shit. Like, okay.
So, hey, that like we really hit on an interesting marketing tool. Like my weed gives you a boner. Like whoever's gonna come up with that one.
I think you're still live streaming though.
Uh-oh.
You want me to stop it?
Yeah,
Disclaimer,
let's go ahead and
disclaimer.
stop.